Chapter 887. Lin Qian lowered her head and thought for a moment. In the end, she looked at Tongning and replied, "I'll go." Was there any reason not to go? Tongning nodded her head and smiled mysteriously. You sure are carefree. But after the incident with Quan Zai, I can tell that you're not the type to settle. Aha. Lin Qian agreed with what Tongning said. Afterwards, she returned to Xinglan's apartment, packed her luggage and prepared to fly to New Zealand. Of course, it was almost time for Xinglan's finals. So Lin Qian hoped that Xinglan would win first place. If you don't win, don't worry, go ahead. Xinglan felt that Lin Qian was too long-winded. Lin Qian originally wanted to tell Li Jin that she was going on a business trip, but she knew that he would be busy at the military base. So, she decided to wait until Li Jin contacted her. As a result, Lin Qian boarded the plane with Xia Hanmo. It was almost time for Xinglan's Battle of the Champions. Throughout the competition, even though Xinglan was ranked first, she had never slacked off. In fact, she prepared seriously for every match. Plus, she had already been trained by Tongning, so Hai Rui's manager didn't have much to worry about. Tonight is the most important match for you. I hope you can maintain your previous form. Whether you win first place or not isn't important. What's important is your mentality. I believe that's what Ningjie wanted me to say to you. The manager reminded Xinglan because she knew that she had once failed to win first place. So she was worried that she would feel burdened. In reality, Xinglan was indeed nervous. After all, she was once only one step away from first place. And now it was like this again. She was really afraid that someone would set a trap for her again. Li Jie, can I give Ningjie a phone call? Xinglan felt that only Tongning could comfort her. The manager, Li Jie, pulled out Xinglan's phone and gave Tongning a call. As soon as Tongning picked up, Xinglan immediately felt a sense of security. Ningjie, I'm scared. After hearing this, Tongning couldn't help but laugh. Is there anything that can stop you from going on stage and singing? Nothing. Trust me, the championship is yours. I've already sent people to check on all possible factors to make sure you get on stage without a hitch. Can you guarantee that you'll win first place? Tongning asked. Hearing that Tongning had eliminated any unstable factors, Xinglan finally relaxed. It was clear to see how much trust she had in Tongning. I can, she answered firmly. Sing well, the whole nation is watching tonight. Xinglan's confidence was boosted, and she was now full of confidence. She was even confident that she could win 10 championships. So after hanging up the phone, she returned the phone to her manager. Thank you, Li Jie. You can't live without Tongning? At least that's the case for now, Xinglan smiled. As long as Xinglan performed well, winning would be a piece of cake. But Xinglan wasn't willing to give up. So when it came time to challenge the difficulty, she chose to challenge the hardest one. The judges did not understand. The championship was already in the bag, so why did they have to have such high expectations of themselves? This was the question that one of the judges asked, and Xinglan responded in this way. Tonight, the whole nation will have their eyes on me. I know how dazzling I am. Since singing is the path that I've chosen, why shouldn't I do my best to repay my fans? So I chose the hardest one. I'm very curious. What exactly is it? Or, who gave you such courage? Another judge asked. It's my talent scout, Tongning, Xinglan replied straightforwardly. I know that in everyone's eyes she has a good side. She's mysterious, wise, has a high EQ and is multi-talented. But she also has a bad side. She's scheming, full of drama and can't be offended. But in my heart, she has reshaped me and given me a new lease on life. She is my talent scout. Although I've already signed with Hai Rui, I will never forget who helped me get through the lowest point of my life. Tongning. In my heart, she is a legend. She is someone that I've always wanted to be, but could never become. Thank you, everyone. Xinglan's words were filled with sincere gratitude, but they also contained a lot of hidden emotions. No matter what the public thought of the entertainment industry, everyone at Superstar Media treated each other with sincerity. You are a grateful person. You can start singing now. Xinglan did not exaggerate her gratitude towards Tongning. She simply wanted the public to know that Tongning had single-handedly helped her win the championship. Those that had doubted and ridiculed Tongning in the past were going to have their faces slapped swollen like pigs. Xinglan had always remembered Tongning's teachings. At all times, she had to leave some leeway and not expose her bottom line in front of everyone. So, as soon as Xinglan opened her mouth for the final battle, everyone was stunned. Because of her explosive power, her voice, her emotions, and her singing skills, all seemed to have reached their best state at the right time. She sang fireworks to the best of her abilities and even better than the original singer. Oh God, how many more surprises does this child have in store for us? Oh my God, I'm shocked too. Wait, does that mean she's been holding back all this time? She was groomed by Tongning. What do you think? The words of the judges were enough to explain the situation. Xinglan's final performance was simply stunning. If Xinglan's previous performances were said to be slightly better than average, and made her competitors want to surpass her, then the final song made everyone fall silent. Because Xinglan's final song seemed to be a tribute to Tongning. She wanted to sing it for Tongning. This is the venue of the national finals of Journey. I am your external host, XX. I'm sure everyone has heard the song that Xinglan sang, Fireworks. If you like it, then pick up your phone and vote for Xinglan. It was one of the most intense battles of the night. Because of Xinglan's provocation, the remaining contestants gave it their all. Some of them matched her in singing, and some of them even used their own songs. But in the end, the winner of the competition, after the most intense battle, the discussion of the judges and the votes of the audience, the winner of this Battle of the Kings is Chapter 888. Xinglan. Congratulations, Xinglan. At this moment, the entire stadium erupted in applause. Xinglan truly deserved to be the champion. The audience's blood was boiling with excitement. But there was another important reason. Xinglan represented the minority that received fairness. She worked tirelessly to pursue her dreams and, in the end, relied on her own talent to win her own life. This was an inspiration to many people, both inside and outside of the industry. At least, in the industry, there was always someone that didn't rely on their background to get to where they were. She created countless possibilities. As soon as she received the trophy, Xinglan cried like a child. As she received the trophy with her right hand, she mumbled, "Ningjia, I did it. I did it." Sob. But the judges laughed because they saw Xinglan's cute side. When she revealed her true feelings, it was simply too adorable. This child's future is bound to be bleak. I can't help but admire Tongning. She only has 3 artists, but they are all in the limelight. She's overcome many obstacles along the way. She's done it openly and honestly. It's great. Soon, the stadium was filled with beautiful fireworks. It was the best way to celebrate Xinglan's coronation. That night, everyone was cheering for Xinglan. While watching the live broadcast on the television, Mo Ting hugged Tongning from behind and whispered into her ear, "Congratulations, Mrs. Mo. Your first piece of work is done well." Tongning looked at the television screen and let Mo Ting hug her. She then let out a gentle sigh. "I hope Xinglan will have a bright future." "Are you doubting Hai Rui?" Mo Ting asked dangerously beside her ear. "How would I dare?" Tongning quickly admitted defeat. "President Mo, hurry and get some rest. You're about to join the set, so you need to rest." After hearing this, Mo Ting lifted Tongning in his arms and headed straight for the bedroom. "If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't want to leave your side." "I know," Tongning replied. "You'll always do it for me and only me." Mo Ting did not say another word. He simply leaned over and pressed his lips against hers, making it hard for her to breathe. But because Tongning was pregnant, Mo Ting did not proceed with the plan. His woman was omnipotent. By the way, Hai Rui will be holding a celebration dinner for Xinglan next week. As the female lead, you will need to attend. What about you? I've already joined the crew. Tongning nodded her head, snuggled into Mo Ting's embrace and fell asleep. In this world, anyone could choose not to trust Mo Ting, but she couldn't not trust him. At this time, Lin Qian was still in New Zealand, unable to adapt to the climate here. Moreover, so many days had passed, and Li Jin had yet to fulfill his promise of 5 days. Until now, there had been no news at all. This man really didn't keep his word. During her free time, Lin Qian stared at her phone in a daze. But 2 days later she received a phone call from Xing Lan instead of Li Jin. Lin Qian thought Xing Lan was going to tell her the good news of her winning the championship, so she teased, "Oh, isn't this the grand champion? You only remembered to call me now? I'm not calling to talk about this. I wanted to ask you if my cousin has been in contact with you over the past few days." "No. What's wrong?" Lin Qian suddenly straightened up from the wall she was leaning against. "My uncle called. He couldn't find any news of his son, so he wanted to ask you," Xing Lan sighed. "I think he's still on a mission. It's fine, let's wait a little longer." But another 3 days passed and there was still no news of Li Jin. This made the 2 elders of the Li family anxious. After all, Father Li was a high-ranking official, yet he didn't know where his son was. It was clear to see how anxious he was as a father. This time it was too abnormal. Lin Qian kept in contact with Xing Lan and found out about the situation. Although she was still in New Zealand, her heart had already flown away. Xia Hanmo could tell that Lin Qian was distracted, so during a break in filming she suggested, "Why don't you go back to China and look for him? I have Zhou Ge to take care of me, so I should be fine." But Ningjie said, "I'll explain things to Ningjie. You should go home first." Xia Hanmo smiled as she patted Lin Qian on the shoulder. In reality, ever since the flood, Xia Hanmo's popularity on set had increased. Everyone treated her with respect, and Zhou Qing doted on her a lot. So there was no need for Lin Qian to worry about Xia Hanmo's current situation. Lin Qian hesitated. Although her logic told her to stay, there was a voice in her heart telling her that she would regret it if she didn't return. So, she followed her heart and booked a flight back to China. Afterwards, she gave Xing Lan a phone call to find out where Li Jin's military base was. As soon as Xing Lan heard this, she was shocked. "Don't tell me you want to look for him. You simply need to tell me." "The 8th Air Force Base in Beijing. But even if you find out, you won't be able to get in. You don't need to worry about that." After speaking, Lin Qian hung up the phone. In this lifetime, Lin Qian had done a lot of impulsive things. But this was the first time she had done it for the sake of love. When she thought about how Li Jin had climbed up the mountain without holding back, she felt that she would only be able to live up to her heart if she did the same. Because of this, Lin Qian made a lot of preparations. She even asked Xing Lan about the orderly that had previously been by Li Jin's side. Xing Lan had no choice but to act as a temporary messenger for Father Li. Soon Lin Qian received the answer she wanted. But before she set off, Lin Qian ran into someone else. It was hard to say whether a drama was like life or life was like a drama. "Your brother is getting engaged. Aren't you going to come and give him your blessings?" Quan Zai held on to his last bit of hope as he found Lin Qian and Xing Lan's apartment. Perhaps he thought that if Lin Qian gave him even the slightest bit of hope, he wouldn't agree to Mother Quan's arrangements. Otherwise, it didn't matter who he married. "If you want me to go, I think I can." Lin Qian's heart was in turmoil, but it wasn't because of Quan Zai. "I know you and the Major General are fake." "Who said we're fake?" Lin Qian asked. "Bro, I was supposed to be working in New Zealand, but Li Jin's whereabouts are currently unknown. I came back because of him. I'm going to look for him in a moment because I can only feel at ease when I see him. Do you understand? You will always be my brother. We've grown up together, but I'm worried about him. Then I must have come at a bad time." Quan Zai endured the excruciating pain and regained his usual arrogance. "Go ahead. When the time comes, bring him along." Chapter 889. I want to attend a wedding that my brother sincerely wants. If it's just a casual wedding, then we don't have to go. After speaking, Lin Qian walked past Quan Zai and immediately went to look for Li Jin, even though she didn't know what the outcome would be. "How do you know that I won't play any tricks?" Quan Zai sneered as he watched Lin Qian disappear into the distance. Throughout his life, he had always lived with Mother Quan's interference and had never lived for himself. So this time he was going to let Mother Quan know that from today onwards, no one could interfere with his life. Lin Qian drove out to the military base. She had to see Li Jin and make sure he was fine. Of course, not everyone could enter the military base. So after driving for 3 hours, Lin Qian arrived at the entrance of the military base on the outskirts of the city. She was immediately stopped by a sentry. "Miss, this is a restricted military area. No one is allowed to enter." "I'm looking for Li Jin." Lin Qian expressed her intentions. "I'm his girlfriend." "I'm sorry, miss, no one is allowed to enter this area." The sentry blocked Lin Qian's way. "I can't even visit him?" The sentry shook his head. "I'm sorry, miss, please don't make things difficult for us. It's getting dark. Please go home. This is the wilderness and there's no place to stay." Lin Qian knew that the military base was strict, but she didn't know it was this strict. No wonder even Li Jin's father couldn't get any information on his son. "In that case, I'll wait here." Lin Qian's stubborn temper was triggered. No one could do anything to her. The sentry helplessly shook his head and gestured for her to wait in a safe area. But Lin Qian ended up waiting for most of the night. The sentry had already changed shifts, so the new sentry treated Lin Qian the same way. After all, military orders had to be obeyed. Soon, a few military vehicles left the base. To get information on Li Jin as soon as possible, Lin Qian stopped every single one of them. "Xiaofeng, what's wrong with this young lady?" a commanding officer asked as he saw Lin Qian. "Sir, this young lady claims to be Major General Li's girlfriend. She wants to ask about him," the sentry replied. "To avoid unnecessary trouble, we didn't notify anyone." "I see. In that case, how long has she been waiting?" "He's been here since yesterday afternoon," the sentinel replied. "Then send someone to send her away. This is not a playground. No unauthorized people are allowed to enter." After saying that, the officer rolled down the window and left the base. The sentinel could only say to Lin Qian, "Miss, how about I get someone to escort you back to the city? You can't enter here." "I'll wait here," Lin Qian said stubbornly. The sentry helplessly returned to his post and watched as Lin Qian leaned against the wall. Because she couldn't obstruct the traffic of the base, her car could only be parked a few kilometers away. She had walked over, and now it was impossible for her to return to the car. A woman would only be even more unsafe. Anyway, Lin Qian planned to set up camp here. So after a whole night had passed, Lin Qian still stood firmly at the door. Batches of sentries came and went, but Lin Qian still could not find any information on Li Jin. "Miss, go back. You need food and rest." "I don't need it." Lin Qian shook her head. "This isn't a place to compete in endurance and perseverance. This is a military base. I have a military boyfriend and I'm worried about his safety. What can I do?" Lin Qian asked helplessly. "I won't make things difficult for you. Don't make things difficult for me either. You're too stubborn." The sentinel was defeated by her. Lin Qian had just recovered from a serious illness, and after standing in the outskirts for an entire night, she felt a little dizzy. But she still felt like she couldn't collapse. But all she heard was a loud thud. The sentinel immediately ran over to Lin Qian. Miss, don't faint." Helplessly, the sentinel had no choice but to send Lin Qian to the nearby military hospital. Under the care of the doctor, Lin Qian fell into a deep sleep. At noon, Li Jin and his comrades drove away from the base. He had just carried out a special mission, and the process was tortuous and difficult. Therefore, he had wasted a lot of time on this trip, and even he himself might not remember what had happened outside. It wasn't easy for him to hand over his mission. Li Jin was exhausted, but his subordinates were still in the car. As they arrived at the entrance, the sentinel was a little surprised to see Li Jin. But in the end he decided to tell him, "Sir, I have something to report." "You have something else to report? Speak." Li Jin's expression was one of extreme exhaustion. "Yesterday afternoon, there was a young lady who insisted on looking for you. Because there are strict rules that do not allow unauthorized people to enter. She stood outside for an entire day and night. In the end, she even fainted. She said that she was your girlfriend." As soon as Li Jin's subordinate heard this, he laughed. "Chief, when did you get a girlfriend?" "That's right. Didn't you know that Han Xiao has liked you for a long time? She applied to be transferred here because of you." But Li Jin didn't seem to hear a thing as he directly asked the sentinel, "Where is she?" "She was sent to the military hospital." After hearing this, Li Jin immediately drove off at full speed towards the hospital. No one believed that he had a girlfriend. After all, he and Han Xiao were so compatible. Could it be that he didn't like Han Xiao? To confirm his suspicions, the soldiers followed Li Jin to the hospital and quickly found Lin Qian's room. At this moment, Lin Qian was still unconscious. Although her face wasn't as pale as when she first fainted, it wasn't much rosy either. "Nurse, how is she?" "She's just too tired," the nurse quickly replied. Li Jin sat down beside Lin Qian's bed and pulled out his phone. A moment later, Lin Qian's messages began to arrive one after another. "Chief she's my girlfriend," Li Jin directly admitted. "Then, if that's the case, we won't disturb you any longer." The women were shocked. They couldn't believe that there was actually someone in this world that Li Jin was willing to acknowledge. They originally thought that because Li Jin had never flirted with another woman over the years, and only had Han Xiao by his side, he had already accepted their relationship. Who would have thought that Qing Yaojin would suddenly appear out of nowhere? Li Jin stood by Lin Qian's side. At this moment, there was no one else in his eyes. His heart was filled with self-blame. After all, he never expected that his partner would be so worried about him. The fact that Lin Qian had come looking for him made him feel both sweet and heartbroken. Chapter 890. By the time Lin Qian woke up, it was already 10:30 p.m. As soon as she opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was Li Jin. She was a little surprised, but quickly regained her composure. Qian, as long as you're okay, that's all that matters," Lin Qian said in a raspy voice. "I want to sleep a little longer." Li Jin held onto Lin Qian's right hand and said in a gentle voice, "Go to sleep, I'll be right here." Lin Qian gently closed her eyes. But a moment later, she suddenly opened them. "I'm not dreaming, am I?" "Of course not," Li Jin replied as he held onto her hand tightly. "It's all my fault, I stood you up again." "You don't need to say these useless words. I know you can't help yourself. Call your parents back, they are very worried about you." After speaking, Lin Qian really closed her eyes this time. She thought she could finally have a good rest. Li Jin didn't know how to comfort Lin Qian. Only at this moment did he realize that he was a little clumsy. Although he didn't know whether Lin Qian would like it, he felt like he needed to do this, so he directly carried Lin Qian out of bed and headed out of the hospital without looking back. Lin Qian was surprised by his actions as she wrapped her arms around his neck and asked, "What are you doing?" "I'm taking you somewhere." After speaking, Li Jin placed Lin Qian in his car and drove into the forest. Soon, the car arrived at the top of a hill. This place was extremely close to the sky. Li Jin opened the hood of the car and placed Lin Qian in his arms as he wrapped her tightly in a blanket. "This is the most beautiful place in Beijing with the starry sky." Lin Qian could feel it. But what made her blood race was the fact that she was leaning against Li Jin's chest. Her back was pressed against his strong chest muscles, and she could even feel his heartbeat. "I'm sorry for making you worry. I don't know why I ended up here. Plus, I'm not a person that likes to give up halfway. I just never expected my body to be so weak." Li Jin did not say a word as he hugged Lin Qian tightly. In his 30 years of life, he had never been in a relationship. In the past, he thought he needed to learn. But, now that he was hugging Lin Qian, he realized that his body was controlled by his emotions and he had no control over it. He wanted to hug Lin Qian. He liked her. Although the night sky was beautiful, it didn't take long before Lin Qian started to sneeze. Li Jin knew that she couldn't stand the cold, so he placed her back in her seat and drove straight back to the Li family home. "Isn't this the way back home?" "Okay," Li Jin replied. He then jumped out of the car and carried Lin Qian in his arms. The Li family was terrified. They had never seen Li Jin interact with a woman before, but now, he was carrying a woman home. Needless to say, this also included Li Jin's parents. As soon as they saw their son return with a woman in his arms, they were shocked and quickly followed him into the room. "Son. Mom, can you prepare some cold soup?" "All right." Li Du's mother turned around and left. Li Du's father coughed lightly. He was quite frightened. His son was too daring. He hadn't even done anything with the girl, and he brought her home. Cough cough, Of course, Lin Qian was also shocked, speechless. She pretended to be asleep to avoid the awkwardness. Li Jin, come out. After Li Jin helped Lin Qian settle down, Father Li called his unfilial son into the living room. What's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly bring the girl home like this? She waited for me at the entrance for an entire day and night. She fainted, so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to take good care of her. Li Jin replied. Is this child the adopted daughter of the Quan family? Father Li asked. Yes. She looks quite obedient. Is she really fine with her brother? She's fine, Li Jin replied confidently. Father Li trusted his son's judgment, so he finally nodded his head. Okay, since you've brought her home, there's nothing else for us to say. We don't have any special requirements for our daughter-in-law. All we want is for her to be kind. You will know after you get to know her, Li Jin promised. Soon, Mother Li prepared some cold soup and delivered it to Li Jin's room. At this time, Lin Qian couldn't continue pretending to be unconscious because Mother Li had already exposed her. Child, wake up and drink some soup. Don't catch a cold. I know you're not asleep yet. Lin Qian had no choice but to sit up and apologize to Mother Li. I'm sorry, Auntie. I simply didn't know what to do. Let's not talk about you, we're still confused, Mother Li said in a trendy manner. But since you're both back, that means the two of you like each other, right? Mother Li said in a very stylish manner. Lin Qian's face turned red, but she had no choice but to nod her head. That's good then. Let's find a time to settle the matter, and everything will be in order. Was Mother Li afraid that she would run away? Lin Qian was shocked by this family. It didn't take long for Tongning to hear about Lin Qian's feat. Not only did she run to the military base to wait for Lin Qian, she was even brought home to see her parents. This speed was no different than when she and Mo Ting first met her. But no matter what, Lin Qian had finally found her own happiness. As a friend, she was extremely happy. The Ant Queen finally started filming, but from the moment that she arrived in Beijing, Kate did not stop causing trouble. Originally, the contract she signed with Qiao Sun already had a lot of conditions attached to it. But just before filming started, she actually requested for more. Qiao Sun was so angry that he didn't eat for an entire day. He couldn't take it lying down, but there was nothing he could do. After all, Kate was 1 in a million. No matter what, he had to persevere. At this time, Mo Ting had not yet arrived on set. Only a few of the supporting actors had begun filming. As the entire production was kept a secret, the other actors had not yet seen the male and female leads. All they knew was that the female lead this time was the French actress Kate. Kate was obviously the woman of their dreams. But if they were to actually come into contact with her, Qiao Sun knew that they would definitely lose their lives. Qiao Sun told Tongning about Kate's situation. Although Tongning didn't want to see Kate, for the sake of the film's smooth progress, she decided to personally step in and take Kate down a notch. Kate's team was very arrogant. After all, if it wasn't for the fact that the film was easy to earn, she wouldn't have joined. Apart from having a bit of money, this film was going to fail so badly that even its parents wouldn't recognize it. They claimed that this was the first true sci-fi film in the country, yet they still had to find a French actress. If they had the ability, they should have found an actor from their own country. What rubbish! Chapter 891. The manager had heard of Tongning. After all, she had caused quite a few international sensations. But no matter who it was, Kate's team was confident that they would add on to their conditions. In France, I was treated like a national treasure and lived in a 5-star hotel. But as you can see, even the air conditioning in Beijing is broken. I don't want to stay in this shitty place any longer. Even if Hollywood didn't treat foreign actors well, it was still Hollywood. So, what did superstar media count for? Kate's team was prepared to challenge Tongning. They had 1,000 reasons to convince Tongning to add on to their conditions. But they obviously underestimated Tongning's abilities as a manager and boss. They thought she was using her identity as an actress to play the friendship card. But from the moment that Tongning stepped into superstar media's meeting room, she was no longer an actress. Dressed in a white suit, she looked capable and beautiful. Coupled with her sharp gaze, the manager suddenly couldn't tell what Tongning was thinking. Kate's team had brought along a few lawyers and a manager, a total of 5 people. But Tongning only brought along Long Jia. I heard that your team wants to add on to their conditions? Tongning asked straightforwardly. Kate did not say a word. Instead, her manager said, "Our Kate is famous in France and has a high status internationally. We have every right to receive better treatment. If you have any conditions, you should have stated them all at once when you sign the contract. Since the contract has already been signed, you should have the responsibility to abide by it. Do you think superstar media is easy to bully? Contracts are made by people and can be adjusted according to demand. Plus, you were the one that invited Kate here, so it's your responsibility to satisfy her," the manager retorted. "You can only blame yourself for not being able to find an actress as outstanding as Kate in the country. Otherwise, why would you have to go so far?" "So?" Tongning asked as she crossed her arms. "My lawyer will tell you everything that Kate wants to add on to her conditions." Kate's manager thought that Tongning's tone sounded like she was about to compromise, so she called her lawyer over. But just as Kate's lawyer stepped forward and pulled out a document to state Kate's request, Tongning raised her hand and gestured for them to stop. "Before you make your request, I think you should sign this document." Tongning gestured to Long Jia as she placed the document in French in front of Kate and her manager. "Contract termination agreement." The man read aloud in shock. "Superstar media may have a lot of money, but we're not stupid. From the first time you made a request, I already wanted you to immediately return to France. There are 3 reasons. Firstly, although my country isn't a developed country, I'm sorry, but I still receive news from the entertainment industry. At least, I know that Miss Kate is in France and her acting skills are excellent, but her reputation is a mess. Don't spout nonsense about being treated like a national treasure in France. Did you think I've never been to France? Or do you think that I will never go to France in my life? Your actions are too unsightly. Secondly, it's not that our country doesn't have good actors, it's that Kate is suitable for this role. If I wasn't pregnant, I don't think Miss Kate would have a chance to play this role. According to official statistics, I seem to be more influential in Europe and the US than she is. Thirdly, from what I know, Kate has already reached a stage of transition, but she hasn't found a suitable role. Her films have flopped a few times and her agency is suffering. If we terminate our contract and your agency pursues the matter, we will lose all of our income. Kate won't even have a room in the future, let alone a room without air conditioning. In summary, superstar media chose you, not the other way around. So sign the contract termination agreement, and let's not waste any more time." The man did not expect Tongning to respond with such sharp words, especially since Kate's expression was already extremely ugly. "Long Jia, watch them sign the contract. I don't have the time to entertain them," Tongning said before she turned to leave. However, Kate's manager held her back. "I can sue you for breaching the contract and ask for compensation." When the contract was first signed, it was clearly stated that this was the final contract. In other words, you have no right to ask for a second amendment. Otherwise, you will be breaking the contract. If that happens, I'm afraid I will have to compensate you. As soon as these words were spoken, the woman was completely stunned. Obviously, they simply wanted to ask Tongning for benefits. But they had no idea that Tongning had never wanted to see Kate's team from the very beginning. What a bunch of trash. Although she knew that foreign actors would receive special treatment, she didn't think they should be pampered like this. Especially since Tongning's attitude was extremely firm and her meaning was clear. Either they act or they get lost. "Sign the contract," Long Jia said in English. But the woman refused to sign the contract because she didn't understand English. Long Jia did not expose them. After all, Tongning wasn't actually telling them to get lost. She simply wanted them to know that superstar media wasn't a pushover. Afterwards, Kate's manager approached Xiao Sun and was a lot more polite. This made Xiao Sun feel extremely flattered. It seemed from now on, Tongning would have to personally handle matters like this. After this matter, Long Jia picked a suitable time to speak to Tongning. "I thought you would take this opportunity to ask Kate to return to China and take on the role yourself. Who would have thought that you would keep Kate?" Tongning, Lu Che and I both feel that if a domestically produced sci-fi film uses foreign actors, it won't be as pure and authentic. We can't accept it. You've worked so hard to prepare this film. If you make Kate famous, in the end, people will still remember her as a foreign woman. Even if you don't want to act, you should at least find a domestic actor. I didn't make this decision, Tongning replied. I'm sure Qiao Sun has made this decision based on business considerations. Let's wait and see. Once filming starts, it'll be too late. Think carefully, Long Jie reminded. By the way, Lu Che and I both feel that you should give up on your identity as an actress. Even if you're a manager now, why can't you act? What happened to Su Xian wasn't your fault. Chapter 892. Tongning did not say a word. To be exact, she had nothing to say. You are currently the hottest manager and actress in the country. Whether it's popularity or acting, not many people can compare to you. Long Jie, that's enough. Tongning rubbed her stomach as her eyes dimmed a little. Okay, Long Jie sighed helplessly. She was currently pregnant, so she couldn't have too many ambitions and thoughts. After all, she was a mother before she played any other role. For the sake of her, Mo Ting had even put aside his own work. So she had to protect her own body for the sake of her daughter. This wasn't something worth thinking about. As for Kate, it was best if she didn't use it. But, if she did use it, she wouldn't let what Long Jie said happen. Of course, she had no idea that her battle with Kate had just begun. Early in the morning, after lying in bed for an entire day and night, Lin Qian finally had the energy to get out of bed and walk around. But Li Jin wasn't by her side. She was in someone else's home. How was she supposed to move around? It was quite awkward. Io Qian, why are you up? Mother Li's voice drifted over from a distance. Li Jin has gone to the military base. He asked me to take care of you. Are you feeling unwell anywhere? No, Auntie. I know you're not used to it. You and Li Jin don't even have an official relationship, yet he brought you here. His father and I were both surprised. But since both of you have the same intention, then we have nothing to say. So you don't need to be so reserved, Mother Li said with a smile. Treat this place like your own home. But from now on, you should avoid arousing suspicion. After the two of you get married, you should hurry and move back here. Lin Qian. Actually, I still have work to do. I need to go back. Child, don't be so distant. Hurry and drink some chicken soup. Lin Qian. Lin Qian had never experienced the warmth of a family, so she couldn't handle Mother Li's enthusiasm. But it wasn't hard to tell that Mother Li was an open-minded mother, and cared a lot about Li Jin's opinion. This was something that had never happened in the Quan family. Therefore, this bowl of chicken soup did not taste good in his mouth. Don't be so foolish in the future. If you can't wait for that brat, find someone else to marry. It's better than torturing yourself and letting your body suffer. This time Lin Qian really felt embarrassed. She suspected that Li Jin wasn't Mother Li's biological daughter. Luckily, Xia Hanmo had already returned to China after recording the show, so she called her back. Otherwise, she really didn't know what excuse she would come up with to leave the Li family. Mother Li couldn't bear to part with Lin Qian, because she had missed her daughter for many years. Now that Li Jin had finally brought one home, she couldn't let go of the opportunity and enjoy the feeling of having her daughter take care of her. It was all Li Jin's fault for never letting her worry. Before she could experience the joy of being a mother, she had already grown up. It was one thing for him to grow up, but he was also in the military all year round, and his face was basically cold. Qian, you have to come here often. Okay, Auntie. Lin Qian was scared out of her wits. But even so, she could feel a sense of warmth spreading from the bottom of her heart. After arriving at Xia Hanmo's home, Xia Hanmo looked at Lin Qian. Seeing the gentle smile on her face, she could tell that Lin Qian had gained a lot from her relationship. Are you happy now? I can't handle it. Lin Qian summed up her experience at the Li family home with two simple words. Li Jin is a good person, Xia Hanmo said in seriousness. Cherish him. After all, the two of you have been through a lot together. When you get married, you will definitely be happy. At the mention of marriage, Lin Qian was suddenly reminded of Quan Zai. Quan Zai was about to get married. Later that night, Lin Qian got off work and headed downstairs. As soon as she saw Li Jin's car, she immediately ran over. I heard from Mom that you left home, so I guessed you'd come straight to work. Aha, Auntie is too enthusiastic, Lin Qian replied as she boarded the car with Li Jin's help. Li Jin did not say a word as he placed a kiss on Lin Qian's cheek. Lin Qian was a little surprised. She obviously didn't understand why he was doing this. What's wrong? Nothing. Li Jin secretly smiled as he started the car and drove Lin Qian home. However, just as they arrived at the front door, Lin Qian suddenly said, "My brother is getting engaged. When the time comes, do you want to go with me?" "Since it's my brother's engagement, of course I'll be there," Li Jin replied without hesitation. "That's good." Li Jin was well aware of how deep the Quan family's trap was. How could he let Lin Qian endure the Quan family's harassment and ridicule on her own? Not only was he going to protect Lin Qian, he was also going to make her the center of attention. Of course, Lin Qian had no idea about any of this. She simply needed someone to keep her company so she wouldn't be alone. As Lin Qian used to be in the entertainment industry, a lot of artists attended Quan Zai's engagement ceremony. Even Mo Ting received an invitation from Quan Zai. After all, Quan Zai used to be his boss, so he couldn't be rude. However, Tongning felt that the banquet was quite interesting. Quan Zai had chased after Lin Qian for so many years without any results. Now he was going to marry someone else. Tongning had a feeling that the ceremony wasn't going to be simple. Over the years, Quan Zai had been shuffling between Lin Qian and Mother Quan. This meant that he wasn't someone that would willingly submit. This time, Mother Quan made Quan Zai lose the love of his life. So, Quan Zai wasn't going to let his overbearing mother get away with it. Lin Qian is going. President Mo asked after coaxing his son to sleep, and seeing Tongning staring at the invitation in a daze. With Li Jin backing her up, what's there to be afraid of? Even if she doesn't go, Li Jin will take her. That's without a doubt, Tongning replied. So President Mo, I want to go too. Is there anything you don't want to join in on? Mo Ting looked at Tongning helplessly. Fine. As long as Mrs. Mo wants to do something, I will accompany her. If it weren't for the child in her stomach, Tongning would have given in to President Mo's temptation. Although he was already at the age of an uncle, he was still as charming as ever. Plus, why was he becoming more and more charming? But before this, Xia Hanmo's first ever variety show, The Big Adventure, was about to be broadcast. Everyone had heard that Xia Hanmo was particularly quick-witted during her travels. In that case, was she going to be loved by everyone on the show? After all, she was a famous black and red celebrity. Perhaps, she was going to make herself look bad again. Chapter 893. Zhou Qing took special care of Xia Hanmo and wholeheartedly supported the younger generation. But, even though he became famous because of the flood, the station manager did not change his original plan. He was still going to replace Zhou Qing. Xia Hanmo had no idea that Zhou Qing was about to leave. She simply felt that Zhou Qing was a good host, and was genuinely considerate of others. But, she never imagined that, just as she found herself a mentor, the man that had guided her through the door was about to leave the television station. On the night of the Big Adventures broadcast, Xia Hanmo was extremely nervous. She was currently troubled by work, so she didn't ask Tongning about it. After all, Tongning wasn't involved in variety shows. Instead, she decided to look for Zhou Qing. However, when she arrived at the television station, someone told her that Zhou Qing was in the station manager's office. A little while later, Zhou Qing emerged from the office with another man. The two men appeared to be discussing something. From the expression on Zhou Qing's face, it was obvious that the two men parted on bad terms. Xia Hanmo immediately ran over to Zhou Qing and asked, "Zhou Ge, what happened?" "Nothing." Zhou Qing shook his head. To prevent Xia Hanmo from asking, he quickly changed the topic. "Why are you here at the television station so late?" "The Big Adventure is premiering today. I'm a little nervous, so..." "You want to see the audience's reaction, don't you?" Zhou Qing returned to his usual calm self as he led Xia Hanmo to an office with a TV. At the same time, there were other colleagues in the office as well. Let's do this in case people misunderstand. I don't want you to be unable to find a boyfriend in the future. Xia Hanmo did not say a word. She simply felt that Zhou Qing was very considerate. Looking at the statistics for The Big Adventure, I can see that the ratings aren't bad. With you around, how could the ratings be low? I just want to know what the public thinks of me, Xia Hanmo said with a smile. You are one of Tongning's artists. Luo Sheng and Xinglan are both very popular right now, so I can understand why you don't want to fall behind. But Hanmo, you've already done well. Don't worry about what the public thinks. As long as you do things the right way, the results won't be too bad. Zhou Qing thought to himself, this was probably the last time he would talk to Xia Hanmo like this. You need to believe in Tongning. You need to believe in me, and you need to believe in yourself. In the future, you must do a good job on the show. Regardless of whether I'm around or not, you must maintain your original intentions. After hearing this, Xia Hanmo felt a little strange, but she did not think too much about it. After all, Zhou Qing had always been an emotional man. He was comfortingly elegant. That night, Xia Hanmo returned home very late, but she slept peacefully. The next morning, she received a piece of good news from Lin Qian. The Big Adventure was one of the most popular variety shows in terms of viewership ratings. Plus, it had a great reputation, and the audience was much more tolerant of her appearance on the show. Because in the show, Xia Hanmo was the type of person who knew a lot and had a calm personality. For example, if the light bulb in the guest's room was broken during a trip, she would not only be able to change the light bulb, but she would also be able to repair the circuit. When doing missions, he was also very smart and considerate of the guest's face. In the past, Xia Hanmo was placed in the wrong place. I feel like she has finally found the right way to enter the entertainment industry. Tongning is really good at training newcomers. So this is what Xia Hanmo's personality is like. In the past, she was sold so badly by her manager that most netizens were deceived. This wasn't exactly a good review, but it was very true. But just as The Big Adventure became a hot topic for variety shows, another explosive piece of news began to spread. Zhou Qing was leaving The Big Adventure. In an instant, fans of variety shows couldn't take it anymore. Everyone knew how good a host Zhou Qing was, and the show he hosted, The Big Adventure, was extremely popular. So, why was he leaving? This piece of news was too shocking. Not only for the fans, but for Xia Hanmo as well. She finally understood the meaning behind the words that Zhou Qing had said to her the night before. In fact, she guessed that Zhou Qing didn't leave The Big Adventure of his own volition. But she wasn't impulsive enough to go look for the station manager. If she did, it would only make things more difficult for Zhou Qing. So, she gave Long Jia a phone call and asked her to investigate what was going on. After receiving a phone call from Xia Hanmo, Long Jia was relieved. It meant that Xia Hanmo had finally learned to think. Don't worry, I'll give you an answer very soon. After all, Zhou Qing's stability directly affected Xia Hanmo's future. Apart from Zhou Qing's matter, the entertainment industry was also extremely busy. After all, the devilishly charming Quanzai announced his retirement. He also announced that he was getting engaged. Rumors of an incestuous sibling relationship had spread like wildfire. But he ended up marrying the daughter of a government official. As a result, all the rumors were about to disappear. How can such a devilishly charming man suddenly get engaged? I used to be crazy about him. I know, right? Quanzai is one of the few men in the industry with peach blossom eyes. He's so charming. Too bad, he's going to be someone else's now. Even if he doesn't marry a rich heiress, you guys still won't get a chance. After all, doesn't he like his sister the most? What do you mean he likes her? He's just playing around. With the Quan family's status, there's no way they would allow their adopted daughter to become their daughter-in-law. That would be so embarrassing. Doesn't that mean Lin Qian is in a bad situation? Everyone in the aristocratic circle is saying that Lin Qian has already broken off all ties with the Quan family. The Quan family raised her, so she shouldn't bite the hand that fed her. Netizens were already discussing amongst themselves. Some felt that Lin Qian was in a bad situation, while others felt that she was cheap. Most importantly, Lin Qian was going to lose Quanzai from now on. Plus, no wife would tolerate their husband liking their sister. So everyone guessed that Lin Qian wouldn't have a good life from now on. It was understandable that the outside world would have such a reaction. After all, rumors of their relationship had spread like this in the industry before. Now that Quan Zai was getting married and throwing Lin Qian to one side, everyone immediately felt that Lin Qian was nothing more than a plaything. Li Jin sat in his office without saying a word as he looked at all these insulting words. Because at that moment he wanted to clear Lin Qian's name. Of course, Tongning was also waiting to watch a good show. As Lin Qian's friend and boss, she didn't want to see Lin Qian being bullied. But it was no longer her turn to make a move. Chapter 894. Quan Zai's engagement ceremony was held at the Quan family's villa. That night, the Quan family home was decorated luxuriously with bright lights. As many big shots from Beijing had arrived, Mother Quan gained a lot of face. She had a strong sense of control. This wasn't only reflected in Quan Zai's personality. Even the color of the lights in the living room. She wanted everyone to follow her wishes. Tonight, she was prepared to be in the limelight. After all, Quan Zai's partner was married to a politician. Political and business marriages were often envied by others because they could support each other. Soon the Quan family's villa was filled with guests. People from all walks of life were present, and all they talked about was the Quan family's little secrets. Lin Qian and Li Jin left home late at night. But tonight, Li Jin wasn't dressed casually, but in his military uniform. Perhaps he didn't have any famous brands, but the military uniform he was wearing made him even more dazzling and eye-catching. Tonight is my brother's engagement party. Don't tell me you've prepared a good show? Lin Qian asked. I still need to give you a gift. After all, although you've cut ties with the Quan family, you are still indebted to them, Li Jin replied as he drove. After listening to Li Jin's words, Lin Qian didn't say anything. Although she was curious about Li Jin's gift, she wasn't in a hurry because the answer would be revealed when the time was right. Li Jin did not say another word. He was more composed than anyone else, especially when it came to gift-giving. The Quan family had caused Lin Qian so much pain. How could he let them off so easily? At this moment, the banquet was filled with sparkling lights and the pleasant sound of a violin played. The guests were all trying to find out about the groom. At this time Mother Quan smiled and said, Everyone, please remain calm. When the time is right, my son will naturally appear. He said he wants to prepare a surprise for our bride. I hope everyone can wait patiently. Then why don't I see the second daughter of the Quan family? Everyone was well aware of who this second miss was. But there were still guests who questioned Mother Quan. As a result, Mother Quan's expression turned ugly. Lin Qian is busy today. I'm afraid she won't be able to attend her brother's wedding. Was it because he couldn't participate, or was there another reason? Everyone knew the answer in their hearts. Everyone was waiting to watch a good show. So, as soon as Mother Quan turned around, the guests began to discuss amongst themselves. News of this has already spread throughout the industry. Quan Zai has personally admitted that he likes Lin Qian. Someone even saw them doing something indecent in the restroom on the day of the Quan family's head's 60th birthday. Quan Zai hasn't adopted Lin Qian to be his son's daughter, so that he can play with her. Lin Qian of the Quan can't possibly adopt her, so he can of his way of. Lin Qian can't be. I can Zai of Qian of Yi family. Lin family. Quan S Yezav of Z of family. Even if the Quan family didn't pay attention to the entertainment industry, they would still know who Mo Ting and Tongning were. The couple kept a low profile and dressed simply. But with the presence of a king and queen, everyone in the room turned to look at them, and willingly raised their glasses to greet them. Everyone wanted to get close to the couple. After all, if they managed to catch the eye of either Mo Ting or Tongning, they would become famous. Unfortunately, as soon as the couple arrived, they found a good spot and sat down. Mo Ting then let go of Tongning, and stood up to chat with Father Quan. President Mo, thank you for coming. At this time, Mother Quan smiled and tried to clink glasses with Mo Ting. But Mo Ting had no intention of responding. He turned around and returned to Tongning's side. Mother Quan was stunned and in disbelief. Did I offend him in some way? That's enough. The outside world has long heard of Mo Ting's ruthless personality. He will pay attention to whoever he wants. If he doesn't want to pay attention to someone, he won't even bat an eyelid. Papa Quan explained in her ear, since we won't be seeing each other in the future, it's better for Madam not to worry about it. Mother Quan secretly took a deep breath as a form of compromise. But what on earth is Zai doing? Why aren't they back yet? What's the rush? Isn't my daughter-in-law still upstairs with her makeup on? As they spoke, one of the guests suddenly let out a gasp of surprise. Not long after, the bride slowly walked down the stairs. It was worth mentioning that she was indeed beautiful and had a natural air of nobility about her. She was, after all, the daughter of a government official. Her looks and aura were stunning. So this is the bride. She's so beautiful. As expected, when compared to the bride, Lin Qian is like a weed. No matter what, she's not presentable. Exactly. With a different background, her aura is indeed different. Everyone looked at the bride as she walked towards them in a white mermaid dress. But at this time, everyone subconsciously looked for Quan Zai. The bride had already appeared, but where was the groom? When Mother Quan saw how beautiful her daughter-in-law was, she excitedly ran over and hugged her. "Xiaoyi, you're really beautiful." The young woman looked down at her engagement ring and smiled. "Thank you, Auntie." "Why are you still calling me Auntie?" The young woman froze for a few seconds. In the end, she timidly called out to Mother Quan, "Mom." "Don't worry, now that you're calling me Mom, I will definitely help you with everything from now on." At this moment, the spotlights in the living room focused on the bride. After all, she was the center of attention. This was the Quan family's new daughter-in-law. Of course, they wouldn't let an adopted daughter like Lin Qian get away with such an important position. "Mom, where's Zai?" The bride was probably curious why the groom was nowhere to be seen at such an important event. "Zai said he wanted to give you a surprise, so he left in the afternoon to prepare something for you." Mother Quan replied kindly. "Let's wait a little longer, okay?" The bride nodded her head. The relationship between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was extremely harmonious. In fact, it was so harmonious that even the guests were envious. But at this time, some people guessed that the reason why Quan Zai hadn't appeared yet was because he had gone to look for Lin Qian. As soon as Mother Quan heard this, she was furious. So she quickly comforted the bride. "Don't believe in his nonsense. Since Zai promised, he will definitely do it. Don't worry, Xiaoyi. Plus, Lin Qian is just an adopted daughter of the Quan family. Zai and she will never be together. Don't overthink things." At first, the young lady of the Yi family had an understanding smile on her face. But soon her expression changed. Chapter 895. "Auntie, it's already been so long. Can you at least tell me when Zai will appear? After all, he's the groom tonight." At first, Mother Quan was confident. But as time went by, she began to wonder what Quan Zai was doing. Did he really run off to look for Lin Qian? As Quan Zai's mother, this was the first time that Mother Quan felt like she couldn't control her son. She couldn't guess what he was thinking. There were so many guests and the Yi family present, yet Quan Zai ignored all of this. Did he really want to kill himself? As more and more guests began to point at the Yi family, the Yi family couldn't wait any longer and directly approached Mother Quan to question her. "In-law, what's going on? Why hasn't Zai appeared yet? What's the meaning of leaving my daughter to face the guests on her own?" "In-law, I'm so sorry. I'll immediately send someone to contact Zai. I'm sure he's not an irresponsible person. Please give me some time." Mother Quan comforted. "It's already been half an hour. If he doesn't show up in another 10 minutes, I don't know what I'll do." Mother Quan smiled the entire time. It wasn't easy for her to gain 10 minutes, but no matter what method she used, she couldn't get in touch with Quan Zai. Mother Quan was furious. She thought that Quan Zai had actually gone to look for Lin Qian, so she immediately contacted Lin Qian. "If this unfilial brat really went to look for Lin Qian, I'm going to teach him a lesson." Perhaps this sentence was overheard by Miss Yi, so she immediately said to Mother Quan, "I never imagined that Quan Zai would actually have an affair with his own sister. Quan Zai, your entire family is a bunch of liars." After that, Miss Yi of the Yi family rushed to the middle of the guests. Mother Quan immediately chased after her. She couldn't let the bride run away with her. Xiao Yi, it's not what you think. I heard everything you just said. You said that Quan Zai went to look for Lin Qian. If their relationship wasn't special, why would Quan Zai go look for his sister on the day of our engagement ceremony? Your family is too funny. No, Zai would never go looking for that bitch, Lin Qian. Trust Auntie. Mother Quan began to panic. If he really didn't go, then why are you calling him out now? Do you know that all the guests in the hall are laughing at me behind my back? I haven't even married into the Quan family and I have to endure such humiliation. Your Quan family has raised a good son and a good daughter. They're really outstanding. They're so outstanding that the siblings are in love. Miss Yi almost shouted out loud. Of course, even though she had controlled her voice, some of the guests around her had heard it. As expected, everyone guessed correctly. Quan Zai and Lin Qian were indeed in a relationship. In fact, it was possible that they eloped on the day of their engagement ceremony. Xiao Yi, I won't hide it from you. Lin Qian is indeed a bit despicable, and our Quan family has indeed invited a wolf into our house. But Zai was merely bewitched by Lin Qian. I believe you when you say that Lin Qian is a slut. But Quan Zai still hasn't appeared. The two of them joined forces to humiliate and embarrass me on such an occasion. Mother Quan was also furious. She never expected that Quan Zai would cause a scene like this. She shouldn't have been soft-hearted and agreed to let Quan Zai leave to prepare a surprise. More and more guests began to point fingers at the couple. Meanwhile, the Yi family reached their limit. So Miss Yi yelled at Mother Quan. I will never let the Quan family off the hook. Especially Quan Zai and Lin Qian. This time, Miss Yi didn't give anyone any face. She directly roared. All the guests were surprised. They never expected things to develop in this way. Tongning sat in the middle of the guests with a meaningful smile on her face. Of course, she had originally come to watch a show. So she leaned comfortably in Mo Ting's embrace. Could it be that Lin Qian and Quan Zai had actually eloped? Could it be that Lin Qian couldn't accept the fact that Quan Zai had been snatched away, so she tried to seduce him? Could it be? Actually, it wasn't that difficult. Just as everyone was cursing at Lin Qian and speculating about her relationship with Quan Zai, Lin Qian suddenly arrived at the engagement ceremony with Li Jin. All of a sudden, all the guests watched as Lin Qian appeared with a soldier. The scene was quite ironic. Mother Quan was certain that Lin Qian had seduced Quan Zai. But no one expected that Lin Qian would appear in front of everyone. As soon as Miss Yi saw that Lin Qian was present, she immediately approached her and asked, Did Quan Zai look for you? Were the two of you planning to elope? After hearing Miss Yi's words, Lin Qian furrowed her brows. Miss Yi, are you suffering from persecutory delusions? I was just a little late. I don't know what happened at the scene. Stop pretending. Tell me, did you hide Quan Zai? Mother Quan suddenly asked as she approached Lin Qian. Lin Qian leaned into Li Jin's embrace and smiled at Mother Quan. Mrs. Quan, are you suffering from persecutory delusions too? In that case, explain yourself. Miss Yi gave Lin Qian a chance to explain herself. Firstly, there's nothing going on between Quan Zai and I. There's nothing going on between us. What proof do you have? Miss Yi interrupted Lin Qian. Don't you think I'm her best proof? Li Jin asked coldly as he looked at Miss Yi. Qian Qian came back to attend her brother's engagement ceremony. It's not as complicated as you think. After hearing Li Jin's reply, everyone turned to look at him. Quite a number of people recognized his military rank from his uniform. He was a major general. So everyone believed in Lin Qian. After all, compared to the Quan family, the man standing beside Lin Qian was a symbol of power. Miss Yi also weighed the pros and cons, because Lin Qian didn't avoid her gaze at all. I don't know why you would think that I eloped with my brother. I want to know who started this rumor. You should ask your adoptive mother about this. Miss Yi placed her piercing gaze on Mother Quan. At this time, Li Jin once again said to Miss Yi, Qian Qian has already broken off all ties with the Quan family. Because of this, Mrs. Quan even demanded that Qian Qian pay her $30 million in child support. So I'm sorry, our Qian Qian only has an in-laws and no adoptive mother. Oh God. Lin Qian actually found herself a major general. If I was in her position and had to choose between Quan Zai and a major general, I would also choose the major general. Does this mean that Lin Qian has always been innocent, and the Quan family was the one that started this rumor? Chapter 896. Isn't an adopted daughter a person? How could she ask for $30 million? That's unbelievable. Whenever the Quan family gets into trouble, they want Lin Qian to take the blame. But now that she has a strong backing, she's not going to take the blame. Miss Yi looked at Lin Qian and then back at Li Jin. Of course she believed Li Jin's words. She simply felt that Mother Quan was a liar. Previously, you said that Lin Qian seduced your son, and that your son was the victim. But she's now standing here and telling me in front of so many people that it's all nonsense. Mrs. Quan, what do you say to that? Miss Yi questioned Mother Quan again. You're a disgusting adoptive mother. Miss Yi scolded on behalf of Lin Qian. Miss Yi scolded on Lin Qian's behalf without holding back. She then apologized. I'm sorry, Miss Lin, I've wronged you. But it's good that you've made things clear now. Otherwise, if anything happens to the Quan family, you'll have to take the blame. Lin Qian glanced at Mother Quan. Mother Quan appeared to be hoping that Lin Qian would step in to save the day, but Lin Qian pretended not to notice. Mrs. Quan, now that Lin Qian can't take the blame for you, shouldn't you tell me where Quan Zai is? At this moment, Mother Quan was like a pigeon on a grill. She had no way to defend herself. After all, before Lin Qian's arrival, she could have pushed everything onto Lin Qian. But, not only did Lin Qian appear in front of everyone, she even brought Li Jin home. This was equivalent to giving her a burning slap to the face. Very well. Does the Quan family think that the Yi family is easy to bully? You've been bullying Lin Qian in the past, now you want to bully me? That's impossible. Just as Miss Yi was about to leave the ceremony with her family, the housekeeper finally approached everyone with a phone in hand. He then said to Mother Quan, Madam, the young master's call has been answered. Hurry. Xiao Yi, don't be angry. Look, Zai's call has been answered. After speaking, Mother Quan took the phone from Quan Zai and pressed the loudspeaker button. Son, where are you? Why aren't you back yet? Everyone has misunderstood you. Xiao Yi is angry. I'm currently out surfing with a beauty. I won't be back anytime soon. Why don't you help me get engaged? Don't you like to control me? Since it doesn't make a difference whether I'm there or not. Why should I, the son, be there? You can make the decision. Make the decision to get engaged and find a time to get married. Wouldn't that be a happy ending? Quan Zai's flirtatious voice could be heard from the phone. Miss Yi, I'm really sorry. If I reject you, my mother will kill me and punish me. So, I have no choice but to temporarily agree to your engagement. Quan Zai paused for a moment before he continued. But, I really don't want to marry someone I don't like. So, I'm sorry, you can have the engagement ceremony on your own. This is my gift to you. After Quan Zai finished speaking, he heard a loud thud. Miss Yi threw a slap across Mother Quan's face. Everyone was shocked. I hate parents that force their children. I never thought that you would take this matter to the extreme. First it was Lin Qian, then it was Quan Zai. You toy with your own daughter to prove that you have absolute power. You're a psycho. I really need to thank Quan Zai. He almost jumped into a pit of fire. If the Quan family likes to put on an act, then go ahead and put on an act. After speaking, Miss Yi led the Yi family out of the ridiculous engagement ceremony. The guests were still watching the ceremony. However, it wasn't an engagement ceremony, it was a spectacular show. Because just like that, Mother Quan's true colors were exposed in front of so many people. But at the same time, while she was pitiful, she also made people hate her. After all, everything that had happened today was single-handedly caused by her. And everything seemed to happen naturally. She had spent her entire life controlling her children. Yet, in the end, her son made a fool out of her at such an important event. Now, everyone in Beijing knew that she was an evil woman. From now on, how was she going to face anyone? Father Quan immediately instructed the housekeeper to ask the guests to leave. After all, the scene that had happened tonight was too ridiculous. Afterwards, Father Quan noticed the blank expression on Mother Quan's face, so he immediately turned to Lin Qian and begged, Xiao Qian, the Quan family did you wrong in the past. But as you saw tonight, your mother has suffered a huge blow. Can you put in a few good words for her? After all, we the Quan family have raised you before. If we don't talk about how we raised you, Mr. Quan, we can at least put in a few good words because I feel disgusted. Lin Qian replied straightforwardly. Don't worry, I won't kick you when you're down. But I won't help Mrs. Quan Lai either. Otherwise, I will end up like her. Hayes, this is the Quan family's fault. If they had known this would happen, they wouldn't have done it in the first place. Father Quan immediately contacted someone he was familiar with and instructed him to control the public's opinion and prevent any negative reports from appearing. But Li Jin also made the necessary arrangements. This time, the Quan family needed to give an explanation. They couldn't simply walk away after bullying Lin Qian and think that they didn't suffer any losses. It was indeed a good show. Tongning glanced at Lin Qian and raised an eyebrow as she left. Quan Zai was on the same page as Li Jin. He had avenged Lin Qian. Are you happy? Mo Ting couldn't help but ask helplessly. Of course I'm happy. From now on, no one will say that Lin Qian seduced her brother, Tongning replied. Perhaps because of Mo Ting's authority, the guests subconsciously kept their distance from him, even though a lot of people wanted to surround him and ask for his autograph. Mo Ting escorted Tongning out. Even at this moment, there were still people who couldn't understand why the Mo couple would appear at Quan Zai's engagement ceremony. It was actually very simple. It was for a friend. After a messy night, Mother Quan ended up fainting. An engagement ceremony that was originally supposed to be going well was completely ruined. How many years of resentment did Quan Zai accumulate? All of them were unleashed at once. Of course, from now on, Lin Qian no longer needed to be affected by Mother Quan's rumors. Let's go, I'll send you home. Li Jin looked at the mess the Quan family home was in and said to Lin Qian, there's no need to stay here any longer. Okay, Lin Qian nodded. Although Miss Yi seemed to be a passionate and cute person, Lin Qian was still happy for Quan Zai. At least, when it came to marriage, he wouldn't compromise so easily. After this incident, Mother Quan would no longer arrange a marriage for Quan Zai, right? Unless she wanted to embarrass herself again. Chapter 897. On the same night that Quan Zai ran away from his wedding, Long Jie gave Xia Hanmo a phone call. I've already asked around about the matter you asked me to find out. The person replacing Zhou Qing is the station manager's son. It seems the station manager wants to hand the best show to his son, so he sacrificed Zhou Qing. I don't think anyone can replace Zhou Qing, Xia Hanmo said with a hint of anger. The Big Adventure has been on the air for so many years and has already accumulated a shocking amount of fans. If we replace the host, the audience will definitely object at first. But as time goes on and a statement is released, everyone will quickly forget who made The Big Adventure popular in the first place. Long Jie explained in a realistic and cruel manner. Long Jie, without Zhou Qing, I don't think I can stay on The Big Adventure. Long Jie understood what Xia Hanmo was trying to say. But she had just signed a contract with The Big Adventure. If she went back on her word, not only would she ruin the career that she worked so hard to build up, she would also have to pay compensation. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Long Jie, even someone like Zhou Qing was easily kicked aside by the other party. So what about me? It's simply because I'm an artist from Superstar Media and Tongning's artist that I'm still a hot topic. Otherwise, one day, I would end up like Zhou Ge. What Xia Hanmo said was the truth. It's best if you tell Tongning about this. I can't make the decision, Long Jie suggested. After hearing this, Xia Hanmo nodded her head. At least, before Zhou Qing left, she needed to keep her cool. In reality, Tongning was already prepared for this. After all, she was famous for her love of talent. The next morning, Tongning didn't even go to the set of The Ant Queen. Instead, she asked Lin Qian to arrange a meeting with Zhou Qing. Of course, she hid this from Xia Hanmo. It's my honor to meet the famous Tongning. Zhou Qing politely shook her hand as soon as he saw her. It seems Zhou Gu already knew that I would come looking for you. Tongning replied with a smile. That's because I know that you're desperate for talent. Of course, the most important reason is because you don't want the popularity that Hanmo has just gained to disappear overnight. Zhou Qing understood what Tongning was thinking. Because of this, there was no need to waste any time talking to her. Hai Rui has invested in a lot of shows and has a good relationship with other TV stations. Perhaps some people might think that it's fine for a popular variety show to change its host, but you and I both know that when someone thinks that way, it means that their ratings will start to go downhill. A certain TV station has a new program, and they have been looking for a suitable host. I wonder if Brother Zhou would be interested? Zhou Qing received the information from Tongning and had a look. It turned out, Tongning wanted him to join the enemy camp. For a popular host to leave his own company and join the enemy's camp, this shows a lot of problems. What about Hanmo? Zhou Qing asked. You go first. I have my own arrangements. Zhou Qing smiled and nodded his head. He realized that Tongning was very decisive when she did things. It was no wonder that her artists became popular one after another. Afterwards, Zhou Qing returned to the TV station to find Xia Hanmo waiting for him. Big Brother Zhou, don't tell me you're really planning to leave like this? I have no choice, Zhou Qing replied calmly. Because Tongning told him to keep it a secret from Xia Hanmo, Zhou Qing completely hid the fact that he was going to join the enemy's TV station. But, what am I going to do without you? I think you should focus on your show. Don't disappoint me, Zhou Qing instructed in seriousness. Xia Hanmo felt helpless. It wasn't easy for her to find the motivation to work hard, but now, she had no choice but to work for an emotionless TV station. Worst of all, even though she knew the reason, she still had to turn a blind eye to it. Seeing the expression on Xia Hanmo's face, Zhou Qing gave a deep smile and quickly returned to his room, leaving Xia Hanmo all alone in the corridor. Tongning did not announce her collaboration with Zhou Qing to the public, because it wasn't the right time yet. She simply felt that the man was too stupid to hand over such a talented host. Did he really think that his son was as capable as Zhou Qing? This was definitely not a decision that a wise station head would make. Or perhaps his son was too good with words. Either way, someone else had taken advantage of the situation. This time, Superstar Media became even stronger. After dealing with Zhou Qing's matter, Tongning arrived on the set of The Ant Queen. At that time, the atmosphere on set was like a group of love-struck fans. After all, almost everyone on set was a fan of Mo Ting. Even Kate, who had a lot of problems, was extremely quiet when Mo Ting was around. As soon as Qiao Sun saw Tongning, he immediately said, "Are you here to visit me? I never expected President Mo's acting to be so good. Look at whose husband he is. President Mo really dotes on you. From the moment you first joined the set, President Mo has never looked at another woman differently. Even when he has scenes with Kate, he never goes overboard. As soon as filming is over, he's so cold that no one can get close to him," Qiao Sun sighed. "So don't worry, you're the only one in his heart. Don't let your imagination run wild." "I know he's my husband," Tongning replied confidently. Soon, Mo Ting spotted Tongning on set and naturally approached her. He then stood in front of her and asked, "It's so far away. You didn't need to come over." "It's fine." Tongning stretched out her arms and wrapped her arms around Mo Ting's waist. "I just want to see you." Not too far away, Kate saw the intimate action between Tongning and Mo Ting, so she immediately asked the staff nearby. Luckily, the staff understood English. "What's their relationship?" "Miss Kate, don't you know? They are a loving couple. If Ning Jie wasn't pregnant, Miss Kate wouldn't have gotten the role in this film." Kate wasn't angered by the staff. She was simply curious. How could there be a man like Mo Ting who ignored beautiful things, yet loved a pregnant woman so much? Could Tongning satisfy him? She refused to believe that a man could be truly celibate. At least, overseas, it was common for men to cheat on their wives. So she decided to wait and see. After all, Mo Ting was going to be on set for a few months. But even though it was a few months, Mo Ting still returned home every day. Chapter 898. Apart from filming, He also had to sit in his study room late at night and look through some important documents. Although he had delegated a lot of power, the most important thing was to be in his own hands. Otherwise, the shareholders of Hai Rui would be the first to object. Kate couldn't find an opportunity to do so. But she remembered that there was a bed scene in the script. So, all she had to do was wait for that day to come. Soon, news of the Quan family's incident spread. Quan Zai's escape caused the Quan family's stocks to plummet overnight, and their reputation was damaged. It seemed this time they were going to suffer a huge blow. Meanwhile, Zhou Qing's incident caused an uproar. Over the past few days, Beijing was bustling with activity. Every day there was a new drama to watch. Xia Hanmo was notified to start filming the next scene, but she had no intention of working with the producer. However, she couldn't come up with a good excuse or reason to leave the big adventure. After all, Tongning had already invested a lot of effort into her, so she didn't want to disappoint her. Soon, the station called for a meeting, but everyone avoided Zhou Qing. After all, a new leader brought his own subordinates. Even if the staff didn't want to leave, they still had to work at the station and couldn't afford to offend the station manager's son. As you all know, I will be hosting the next episode of The Big Adventure. So I would like to introduce my work experience to everyone. The station manager's son said as he stood on stage and talked about all the awards he had received overseas. I believe, under my leadership, everyone will be able to continue the glory of The Big Adventure. Where did he get his confidence from? Xia Hanmo couldn't help but ask. Hanmo, do you not believe me? The other party could see that Xia Hanmo's interest was waning, so he called her name and asked her alone. Xia Hanmo let out a gentle laugh and shook her head. Continue. To be honest, Zhou Ji's methods are getting old. Nowadays it's the younger generation's world. If we want to maintain a high viewership rating, we need to come up with something new. So the next episode of The Big Adventure will have some changes and we will add a fun segment. How could a variety show change its segment so rashly without any publicity? There was no replacement of the old and new hosts. This was obviously suicidal. Was there something wrong with the station manager's brain? Anyone in the industry could tell that the station manager's son had broken a taboo. But he had a strong backing, so he did whatever he wanted. In fact, Xia Hanmo could understand him too well. He was eager to adapt the show to his style. Don't worry, with the planning of the entire production team, I'm sure The Big Adventure will be even more likable than before. Xia Hanmo couldn't take it anymore. She wanted to leave, but the crown prince kept on bragging. Was he trying to disgust everyone? The meeting lasted for a long time. The introduction of Prince's resume took an hour. The staff below were suffering unspeakably. Actually, Prince was confident because the station chief had found a professional team to build and evaluate it. They felt that it was feasible. Since a program wanted to change the hosting style, why not do it in one go and give the audience a sense of freshness? In the end, the staff walked out of the meeting room listlessly. But at this time they spotted Zhou Qing walking out of the station manager's office to hand over some documents. Everyone immediately became spirited. They immediately surrounded him and shouted excitedly, "Brother Zhou? Are you having a meeting?" Zhou Qing smiled at everyone like nothing had happened. "Do your best? Are you going home now?" someone asked as they saw Zhou Qing holding onto a document. Of course, Xia Hanmo was also among them. "Yes, I've handed over the documents. From today onwards, I am no longer a part of the station. You all need to listen to me," Zhou Qing said in a serious tone. "Especially Hanmo, you must take good care of her. She still has a lot to learn." Zhou Qing said to everyone in a sincere tone. "I will naturally take care of my subordinates. You don't need to worry about them," the station manager's son said as he walked out of the meeting room with hostility. "That's great. I heard that The Big Adventure is going to change its hosting style. I wish you the best of luck." After speaking, Zhou Qing turned to leave. But everyone was reluctant to let him go. He was the one that made The Big Adventure famous. Yet the station manager was burning the bridge after crossing it. He was too heartless. Not only did he appoint people for favoritism, he even humiliated Zhou Qing. Everyone felt bad for Zhou Qing. "Zhougu, it's fine," Zhou Qing laughed. Don't tell me that I don't have anywhere else to go after leaving the station? You have somewhere to go. But it must be hard for you to hand over the show that you created with your own hands at its peak. The station manager's son continued to provoke Zhou Qing. Xia Hanmo was about to roll her eyes from holding it in. Seriously? Why were people who had studied abroad so conceited? I can't help it. Who told you not to have a station manager as a father? After hearing this, Xia Hanmo couldn't take it anymore as she threw a slap across the face. I've never seen someone act so righteously when they're trying to steal something from someone else. Did you know that you're a piece of trash? Stop talking about your father. I've realized that you have no sense of shame. Save it, no one respects you. Do you really think that you're the best in the world? Xia Hanmo, how dare you hit me? The station manager's son yelled at Xia Hanmo. I hit you to remind you that after the show changes you will definitely fail miserably. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Xia Hanmo, you've been fired. That's exactly what I wanted. Everyone heard it. The station manager's son fired me. So please send me my salary from last week's show. After speaking, Xia Hanmo felt a lot better. Zhou Ge, since I've also been fired, why don't you take me with you? It seemed Tongning understood her artist well enough to know that she would get into trouble, and that the big adventure wouldn't last much longer. So Zhou Qing smiled. Let's go. Before leaving, Xia Hanmo glared at the station manager's son once again. Amidst everyone's praises, she left with her head held high, completely unaware that she had gotten into trouble. Of course, Xia Hanmo was willing to take responsibility for what she had done. After all, this was what she really wanted to do. You sure are straightforward. What if you get held accountable for leaving like this? I feel that as an artist, there are some things that are more important than fame and fortune, Xia Hanmo replied. That's what Tongning has always done. Morality trumps everything else. In that case, have you thought about what you'll do in the future? You've just started your career. Chapter 899. I'm confident that Tongning will pave the way for me because she's that amazing. Xia Hanmo had no doubt about this. Plus, I'm doing this for justice. Seeing her confident expression, Zhou Qing smiled. Since we're both unemployed, can I invite Miss Xia out for a meal? Xia Hanmo naturally nodded her head. The two of them chose a well-hidden restaurant for dinner. However, just as Xia Hanmo sat down, a 2-year-old child next to her fell into the fountain not far away. Although there wasn't much water, the child still cried loudly. As soon as Xia Hanmo saw this, Zhou Qing immediately ran over and pulled the child out of the water. Afterwards, a rich woman ran over anxiously. Is the baby okay? Zhou Qing looked at the woman with a hint of anger for the first time. The child is still young. I suggest you don't let him out of your sight. The woman was stunned for a moment before she quickly carried the child away. This was the first time Xia Hanmo had seen Zhou Qing so emotional. Do you like children a lot? Xia Hanmo asked as soon as Zhou Qing sat down. Not really, Zhou Qing replied softly before changing the topic. Of course, Xia Hanmo immediately sensed that Zhou Qing was a man with a story. On the surface, he appeared gentle and took good care of everyone, but in reality, he was extremely cautious. So, Xia Hanmo did not dig into his secrets. That way, he would be easier to get along with. It didn't take long before Tongning found out that Xia Hanmo had fallen out with the big adventure. Of course, this was all within her expectations. If Xia Hanmo had actually endured the humiliation and stayed on the big adventure, then she would have felt that she had misjudged her. But there was one thing that Tongning had to admit. She had already set up her trap. The only reason why she did not tell Xia Hanmo was because she wanted to see if she was worth it, and because she wanted her to put on a realistic act. As it turned out, Xia Hanmo was indeed an artist at Superstar Media. As someone that had been blacklisted for a long time, it was normal for her to be cautious. But, right now, Tongning needed to ensure that Xia Hanmo would never be blacklisted again. The previous flood incident had let the outside world reevaluate Xia Hanmo, so this time, it was a good opportunity to consolidate Xia Hanmo's image in the public's mind. The young master of the big adventure probably felt that Xia Hanmo, a female artist with an unstable foundation, dared to slap him in the face. So he took a photo of his swollen face and posted it online. He wanted to make use of public opinion to frame Xiaohanmo. At the same time, he wanted to create an image of himself as a victim. Unfortunately, as soon as he posted the photo, Superstar Media released a statement apologizing on Xiaohanmo's behalf because she accidentally made a move. However, it was obvious that the essential difference between a man and a woman was that when a man made a move, it was definitely a provocation. But when a woman made a move, the audience would automatically assume that she was bullied and had no choice but to make a move. Plus, the fact that Superstar Media had admitted to it so openly confirmed the public's suspicions. Xiaohanmo must have suffered greatly. First, Zhou Qing was forced to leave, then Xiaohanmo made a move. I'm sure a certain television station must have had a serious internal conflict. It wasn't easy for Xiaohanmo to regain her popularity. I refused to believe that she would make a move for no reason. A certain television station is too shameless. Apparently, they're going to make changes to The Big Adventure. We're not going to watch The Big Adventure without Zhou Qing. Can we boycott that television station? The young master's son never expected that his photo would attract such a huge reaction. In fact, all the rumors were negative towards The Big Adventure. When it came to Zhou Qing's matter, he was the one that stole it. Not only did he not keep a low profile, he even went around causing trouble. So Tang Ning's move, apart from making sure the young master's son's The Big Adventure was boycotted, she also wanted the public to side with Zhou Qing and Xiaohanmo. Of course, this wasn't enough. After all, Tang Ning was someone that knew how to play tricks, so she gave Zhou Qing a phone call. In order to turn the situation around, the other party may start a rumor that the two of you have a special relationship. Or, they may try to slander the two of you. Zhou Gu, you're an experienced person. I'm sure you know what to do. Zhou Qing was a smart man, so he immediately understood what Tang Ning was hinting at. So the next day, the news would be that Zhou Qing was fired from his job, but he was still in a good mood as he ate with his family. Or, the news would be dug up and made into a hot topic. Zhou Qing and a mysterious woman were seen holding hands as they went shopping. Meanwhile, on Xiaohanmo's side, Tang Ning arranged for a famous account to edit and share the video of Xiaohanmo's interview and her insistence that she was single. This way, even if the television station wanted to start a rumor, no one would believe it. The young master's son was stuck, but the station manager could see through the situation. So he called his son into his office to teach him a lesson. You can keep a high profile when it comes to The Big Adventure. But why do you have to chase after Zhou Qing and Xiaohanmo? Dad, don't I have the right to teach two artists a lesson? Forget about Zhou Qing. After all, he may have built up a lot of connections over the years, but he's still not mature enough. But you even provoked Xiaohanmo. Did you know that the public is currently scolding you? The station manager said angrily as he slammed his hands on his desk. Everyone's talking about Zhou Qing right now. I told you that you're too young, but you refuse to believe me. Zhou Qing's actions aren't gossip, he's trying to prevent us from slandering him. He didn't fight for anything and left in a carefree manner. In his spare time, he spends time with his family and with his girlfriend. If you continue to cause trouble for him, you will be seen as heartless and ruthless. That's enough. Focus on your show. The Big Adventure is now in your hands. Don't do anything that will embarrass everyone. If you really want to beat Zhou Qing, then show me what you're capable of. The station manager was furious. If his son was even half as capable as Zhou Qing, he wouldn't have to worry. But the jerk had no brains. The fact that he accepted The Big Adventure was already the biggest blow to Zhou Qing. But he still wasn't satisfied. Just wait and see. I will definitely make you look at me in a different light. The station manager didn't have much expectations for this. As long as Zhou Qing performed well, he would be satisfied. Soon, the new episode of The Big Adventure began filming. Although with the help of the production team, The Big Adventure managed to maintain a high standard, and they even invited an important guest. Without Zhou Qing, The Big Adventure lost its original flavor. Did the station manager's son think that the audience was stupid? Chapter 900. At this time, Zhou Qing secretly joined another program and quickly signed a contract. However, his only condition was for Xia Hanmo to be his co-host. Towards such a proposal, the other party was very happy to accept. Although the station manager's son wasn't a clear-headed person, he was still under the station manager's control. The fact that he was able to ruthlessly cut off Zhou Qing meant that he was capable and resourceful. So the old station had personally planned and promoted his son's program with great care. Therefore, in the latest trailer, the old TV station manager grabbed hold of the most mentally unstable group of students and invited the most popular young actresses and young actors. Coupled with the powerful editing and publicity, the old TV station manager soon. The Big Adventure regained some of its popularity. After all, even if fans didn't like the program, they still had to support their idol. The station manager wanted to prove that The Big Adventure could create a legend even without Zhou Qing's help. But there was another problem that he was worried about. Zhou Qing had practically no one in the station that he could control. He was a one-man show, but he was secretly threatening the interests of a large group of people. Tongning saw the results of the station manager's actions and felt that he was a worthy opponent. At least, he was a lot better than his brainless son. But the station manager's actions were like killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. Zhou Qing was a sentimental person. At least, after working at the station for so many years, he didn't have any ulterior motives other than to do a good job. But the station manager was too paranoid, so he couldn't stand the fact that Zhou Qing was gaining more and more respect. He would rather hand The Big Adventure to his son, who was lacking in all aspects. As for whether the station manager's son would be able to make a name for himself, it all depended on the ratings for the first episode. But this was a good thing. Competing with The Big Adventure was another talk show called I Have Hot News for You to Reveal. Every episode had a hot topic and many celebrities participated in it. But because of Zhou Qing, it had been suppressed for a long time. Everyone was wondering if The Big Adventure would still have an advantage without Zhou Qing. The answer was waiting for the next episode to air. Of course, it was obvious from the statistics that The Big Adventure still had a higher viewership rating. Although it couldn't compare to when Zhou Qing was around, he still had an advantage. But Tongning had no intention of letting the man have his way. Every episode of I've Got Big News for You to Reveal would have a mystery guest appear on the set to come up with a question. So it was during this golden moment that all the viewers of The Big Adventure switched channels. It was for no other reason than the fact that the guest was Zhou Qing. Oh God, the audience was dumbfounded. Zhou Qing had actually gone over to The Big Adventure's nemesis. For some reason, the audience felt a sense of satisfaction. It was also at this time that the real-time viewership of I've Got Big News for You reached an all-time high, directly surpassing The Big Adventure. The internet had also exploded because of this incident. Fuck, this is too shocking. Zhou Qing went straight to the enemy's camp. This slap in the face is really powerful. Zhou Qing's black-bellied power is at the max. Even I was shocked. Zhou Qing is using data to teach The Big Adventure a lesson. Damn, I'll give this counterattack full marks. Hence, Crown Prince had lost completely. The next day, the data flooded the internet. Zhou Qing's new employer was actually The Big Adventure's rival. After the old station manager looked at the data for the latest episode of The Big Adventure, he let out a deep sigh. He had been too careless. He couldn't have trusted his idiot son. Now that Zhou Qing had directly gone over to the enemy's side, it was like adding wings to a tiger. If Zhou Qing hosted multiple shows in a row, not only would The Big Adventure, but other variety shows wouldn't be able to survive. In the end, he had lost the gamble. Because of this, the station manager's son couldn't accept it, so he blamed it all on Zhou Qing's earlier debut. Luckily, I didn't offend him too badly. Dad, you're always overcautious. No matter what, a change of dynasty is bound to cause chaos. Didn't you already prepare for this? The station manager's son humphed. Coward, you're already scared? But Zhou Qing took advantage of the situation and quickly announced that he would be taking over a new show called Late Night 8 p.m. It was a show that would specifically take on funny missions with guests at 8 p.m. Xia Hanmo never expected that Zhou Qing would act so quickly. After seeing the news, she felt like she had just taken a nap. How did her world turn upside down? Afterwards, Zhou Qing gave her a phone call. Come out, I'll take you to sign a contract. Huh? You don't want to be my partner? Xia Hanmo finally found out that everything had been planned by Tongning and Zhou Qing. Everything had been under their control. Of course, even so, the host of I Have Big News for You still politely invited Zhou Qing to dinner. After all, Zhou Qing was the one that allowed them to hold their heads up high. Even though Zhou Qing was the one that destroyed his own creation. At this time, Tongning finally revealed the reason why Xia Hanmo had hit the station manager's son. Over the years, Zhou Qing has worked hard to get the big adventure to where it is today. But a certain television station decided to kick him out of the show because of nepotism. As everyone knows, Hanmo is an impatient person. So as soon as she found out that the show treated her benefactor in such a way, she couldn't help but step in. That's how she ended up with the photos of the station manager's son. Since Zhou Qing and Hanmo have a teacher-student relationship, I'm going to help them. I hope they can work well together on their new show. Yes, this wasn't the first time Tongning had spoken the truth. So, the public were no longer surprised by her style. Plus, the things that she said were generally accepted by the public. At least, they felt that she was trustworthy. So Xia Hanmo and Zhou Qing received a lot of support from their fans. The new show hasn't even started filming yet, but Xia Hanmo has already been approached by an advertising agency. Lin Qian handed a letter of intent to Tongning in her office. Do you want to accept it? It's not the time for her to accept commercials. She needs to focus all her energy on the new show. The reason Tongning said this was because she always considered her artists from a long-term perspective. I understand, Lin Qian nodded. How have you been with your military brother lately? Tongning asked after dealing with some work. Why are you suddenly talking about me? Lin Qian's face immediately turned red. You should be more concerned about President Mo on set. Chapter 901. In this world, no man knew how to keep a distance from another woman better than Mo Ting. Even though he had acted together with Kate for so many times, he had never looked Kate in the eye either. So no matter how hard Kate tried, she couldn't get a single glance from him. Apart from Tongning, Mo Ting could completely abstain from sex. So, Tongning wasn't worried that a cliché story would happen to her. Moreover, she was pregnant. Lin Qian realized she was being silly, so she added, Mo Ting has been like this for many years. There's no way he would do anything to betray you. Tongning smiled but did not reply. Lin Qian suddenly thought of Li Jin, who was currently on a mission. The two of them were always apart more than they were together. Could this really last? Tongning noticed Lin Qian's confusion, but she did not probe further. She simply said, If you have any difficulties, you can tell me. Lin Qian nodded her head, packed her things and drove back to Xinglan's home. But Xinglan was now an artist of high rue, so it wasn't a good idea for her to live with Xinglan for the long term. After all, high rue wasn't convenient to manage. So after thinking for a moment, Lin Qian decided to find a place to live on her own. Of course, she did not consider living with Li Jin at this time. She had been single for a long time, and she didn't want to suddenly rely on a man. No matter how it was now, it would still be the same in the future. However, Lin Qian never expected that an uninvited guest would find her. The other party was a woman, no, to be exact, a female military officer. She was wearing the same military uniform as Li Jin. So Lin Qian could roughly guess the woman's background and intention. Hello, I'm Han Xiao. Although I don't know who you are, it's rude of you to investigate me, Lin Qian replied. I'm sorry, I didn't investigate you. I only found out about your existence because Li Jin told me. Han Xiao replied politely. I didn't come here today to break up the two of you or anything else. Please don't misunderstand. As his godsister, I simply want to see what kind of girlfriend my brother has found. I don't think it's too much to ask, right? Godsister? Lin Qian frowned. Looks like he didn't tell you. Han Xiao let out a gentle laugh. But it doesn't matter. I'm sure he's just afraid that you'll misunderstand. But isn't it better for him to be a little more honest? We've been comrades for many years, and we've saved each other's lives before. Although she's my godsister, I still don't quite understand why Miss Han is here. My purpose for coming here is to tell you of my existence. I hope you don't mind. After all, life in the army is not up to one's own volition. We will cooperate and get in touch. I don't want to be caught by him to explain things to you. Then I'll have to thank Miss Han for making this trip. Lin Qian replied confidently. Although the man was tall and had a strong aura, Lin Qian did not feel that she was inferior to him in any way. I won't say anything else, but Li Jin is a soldier and you work in the entertainment industry. So, I hope you can take care of your image and not make things difficult for Li Jin. Who exactly was Li Jin's girlfriend? Lin Qian suddenly felt a little confused. However, this so-called godsister was also unbearably domineering. Lin Qian did not think that she would embarrass Li Jin in any way. Above all, Han Zhao's methods reminded Mother Quan of how much she wanted to humiliate her. Back then, she allowed Mother Quan to bully her because she was young and naive. But she was no longer the little brat that didn't know how to protect herself. That's all I want to say. I hope Miss Lin can think for yourself. Lin Qian was angry and upset, but she did not let it get to her head. Firstly, although she hadn't known Li Jin for a long time, she was certain that he would never cheat on her. After all, he was very straightforward when it came to this. Secondly, she believed that Han Xiao was Li Jin's comrade in arms, but she didn't believe that she was his godsister. Thirdly, before Li Jin personally admitted it, she didn't want to sentence someone to death so quickly, even though she was indeed angry. After returning home, Lin Qian was not in a rush to contact Li Jin. But anger was written all over her face. It wasn't like she was a prostitute. She was a pure and innocent girl. Why did she always come across these arrogant scumbags? That night, Xinglan returned home and saw Lin Qian's expression. She thought she had eaten a bomb. Did Li Jin bully you? Lin Qian shook her head. If that's the case, then he did. Tell me about it. Unable to withstand Xinglan's nagging, Lin Qian vented all her anger about Li Jin's godsister. Afterwards, Xinglan burst into laughter. Lin Qian, to think you would have such a day. Do you know how cute you look when you're jealous? Must you make fun of me at a time like this? Seeing that Lin Qian was really angry, Xinglan comforted. That's enough, don't be angry. As long as you don't believe it, the truth will be revealed sooner or later. Of course. After speaking, Lin Qian returned to her room, tidied up a little and lay down in bed, hoping to sleep away all her worries. But Xinglan ended up making a phone call to Mother Li. Auntie, a woman who lied about her cousin's godsister approached Lin Qian and angered her half to death. Your daughter-in-law is going to be gone soon. After receiving the full information from Xinglan, Mother Li stomped her feet in anger. Where did Li Jin get to know such a dirty woman? Why did she approach Qian Qian? Comrade in arms? What kind of comrade would break up another person's marriage? Old man, hurry up and give that jerk Li Jin a phone call. Ask him what's going on and give me an explanation. Otherwise, get lost and never appear in front of me again. Angry. Perhaps you've misunderstood your son. Misunderstood? How could he be so stupid as to ask another woman to bypass him and approach his girlfriend? He's going to lose his girlfriend sooner or later, Mother Li humphed. How come he hasn't inherited any of my EQ? Qian Qian is such a likable child. Don't be fooled by her cold exterior. If something really happens, she's the only woman that would wait for your son at the military base for a few days and nights. Those cheap sluts step aside. Father Li had no choice but to contact his son. But Li Jin was in the middle of a meeting and his subordinates and Han Xiao were in front of him. Father, your mother has something to say to you. Father Li didn't want to do it, so he left Mother Li to worry about it. So in front of Han Xiao, Li Jin picked up Mother Li's phone call. And the two men began to discuss Han Xiao. Is this how you like Qian Qian? You even let your love rival attack her home. Chapter 902. If I was Qian Qian, I would never talk to you again. Who do you think you are? Hurry up and deal with your messy business. If you don't handle it properly, I will directly acknowledge Qian Qian as my daughter, and you will be kicked out of the Li family. Was she really his daughter? A normal person would definitely be confused, but Li Jin's lips secretly curved upwards. This was because his mother really liked Lin Qian. Perhaps this would make up for the trauma she had suffered in her childhood. Afterwards, Li Jin put down the phone. Of course, this wasn't a formal occasion, otherwise he wouldn't have picked up the phone so casually. But after picking up the phone, Li Jin's gaze turned even colder. "Major General, what's wrong?" "Nothing, continue," Li Jin replied. After quite some time, the group finally dispersed. However, as he watched Han Xiao leave, Li Jin couldn't help but ask his subordinate, "What kind of person do you think Han Xiao is?" "She's a good woman," the subordinate replied naturally. "Major General, Han Xiao has been at the base for so many years and her character is obvious to all." "Not necessarily. Some people always hide their true colors," Li Jin said with a deeper meaning. He then lifted his head and asked, "If a woman that has a crush on you went to look for your girlfriend behind your back and said something that caused her to misunderstand, what would you think?" "I hate scheming women. Although I wouldn't go as far as to lay my hands on someone like that, I would definitely stay away from them," the subordinate replied angrily. But a moment later, he realized that the woman he was referring to was Han Xiao. "That can't be right." Li Jin looked at him with a deep look, but did not say another word. "Oh God, I really couldn't tell." The subordinate felt a chill down his spine. Not only was Han Xiao's action evil, but for a woman to do something like this, it was obvious that she was a very shrewd person. Han Xiao went to look for sister-in-law? Doesn't that mean sister-in-law has misunderstood? "Major General, what are you still sitting here for? Hurry up and explain yourself." Li Jin did not move as he said to his subordinate, "I have a task for you tomorrow." At this time, Mo Ting was still on set. As soon as filming ended, he would immediately drive home without any intention of staying. But tonight, Kate was injured because she hit her kneecap when they were filming a fight scene. Kate thought to herself, as long as Mo Ting was still a man, he should at least say a few words of concern, right? But apparently Kate was disappointed. After all, Mo Ting had told Xiao Sun to contact the medical team, and that nothing could stop him from returning home. "You're not a gentleman at all. I got hurt because of you. Don't you feel guilty at all?" "I don't think you got hurt because of me. You simply hurt yourself to get my attention," Mo Ting said in front of everyone. "You asked for it." "Kate, stop wasting your time on me. You're making it harder and harder for me to tolerate you. If you still want to continue filming the Ant Queen, then you need to focus on something else. Otherwise, I will make you leave. Also, don't do something stupid like this again. You're delaying my return home." Mo Ting's words were so straightforward that he completely exposed Kate's past. After all, Kate hadn't decided on her role yet. This time, even Xiao Sun was a little angry. He knelt down and said to Kate, "If you're here to act, I think I can tolerate you for a few more days. But if you have other intentions, I think you can leave right now. You probably don't know President Mo's position yet. He's not an actor, he's the CEO of an international entertainment conglomerate, Hairue. He has the power to decide the life and death of an artist. As long as he wants to, he can make sure that you have no place in the world. So if you can avoid provoking him, please try not to provoke him." Kate had never been warned like this before, so she was naturally a little afraid. However, Xiao Sun didn't mention Mo Ting's identity. But as soon as he did, Kate wanted to pursue Mo Ting even more. After all, she loved thrills. But from now on, she wouldn't be so stupid. Mo Ting didn't care if the idiot understood his words. At least, he had given her a warning. If Kate crossed his bottom line again, he was going to kick her back to France. After returning home, Mo Ting returned to being a father and husband. As soon as he saw Mo Zichen jumping up and down on Tongning, he immediately carried him away. "You have a child in your stomach. Don't you know how to be careful?" "It's okay, as long as you don't step on my stomach," Tongning replied with a smile. "From the look on your face, Kate must have caused you a lot of trouble." Mo Ting did not say a word, but Tongning understood. "Do you really dislike dealing with women?" "Apart from you, I can't be bothered to talk to other women. It's too tiring," Mo Ting replied. "What about our daughter?" Mo Ting placed his two sons on the floor, and allowed them to move around freely. He then placed Tongning on his lap. In that case, I will of course teach her how to choose her friends from the moment she's born. You're exaggerating. Tongning couldn't help but laugh. She thought to herself, Emoting must feel great being a strict father. Just the thought of a cold man like Emoting hugging a soft little girl was enough to make one scream out loud. Emoting was a perfect example of extreme love. Apart from his wife, he couldn't be bothered to interact with anyone else because it was too tiring. Of course, this was in line with how lazy he was when it came to relationships. The next morning, Lin Qian, who had been sulking all night, walked downstairs to find a military vehicle parked downstairs. Of course, there was also a young man leaning against it. As soon as he saw Lin Qian, he immediately saluted. Hello, sister-in-law. You? The Major General asked me to come pick you up, the young soldier replied happily. Lin Qian didn't know what he had up his sleeve. She originally wanted to reject him, but she wasn't the one in the wrong, so why should she avoid him? So Lin Qian naturally boarded the young man's car. Soon the couple arrived at the military base. I thought outsiders aren't allowed to enter? As soon as Lin Qian saw the gate, she was reminded of the day and night she had stood there. Sister-in-law, I'm really sorry. You can't enter the military base, but you can enter the training grounds, the young soldier explained. Come with me, the Major General is waiting for you. Lin Qian was a little annoyed. He was still angry. Did he send her here to get to know his god-sister? Chapter 903. Lin Qian entered the base with a pessimistic outlook. At the end of the day, she felt that she really didn't understand Li Jin. She didn't know what Li Jin was like in real life, what Li Jin was like at work, or who his friends were. Indeed, she couldn't be like Tongning and make a bet. Tongning didn't care if it was good or bad. As long as she made a decision, she was willing to bear the consequences and wasn't afraid. But Lin Qian was different. She was afraid that if she didn't think things through, or if it was too dangerous, she would give up. It wasn't that she didn't want to fight for it, but fear was a part of her nature. Soon the two arrived at the training grounds. But the first thing that came into view was not the soldiers' training, but Li Jin and a few of his comrades. Among them was his so-called godsister, Han Xiao. In reality, Han Xiao was also quite surprised. She never expected that Li Jin would bring Lin Qian to a place like this to meet his closest friends. Could it be that he was for real? Qian. Li Jin naturally called out Lin Qian's name, before pulling her into his embrace. He then looked at the group and said, Last time, Qian fainted, so I didn't have the chance to properly introduce you all. This is my girlfriend Lin Qian. We will be settling down very soon. This was the first time that Li Jin had admitted that he had a girlfriend in front of everyone. Even Han Xiao, who had been at the base for a few years, had never received such treatment. So it was obvious that Li Jin was serious. The soldiers looked at Lin Qian and then at Han Xiao before they finally replied, Rascal, I didn't know you already had a girlfriend. Why didn't you tell us? We've only known each other for a short period of time. Lin Qian could tell that the soldiers looked a little unnatural. It was probably because of Han Xiao's presence. Afterwards, Han Xiao excused herself. I still have training to do, so I won't keep you company. Wait. No one expected Lin Qian to stop Han Xiao at a time like this. Han Xiao assumed that Lin Qian wasn't the type of person to talk about the schemes between women in front of a man. But that was exactly what Lin Qian was. Since Li Jin and Miss Han are both here today, I'll get straight to the point. Li Jin, let me ask you, is Miss Han your godsister? Lin Qian asked as she looked at Han Xiao. No, Li Jin denied directly. But Miss Han came looking for me last night. She wanted me to get used to her existence on behalf of her god-brother, because she's your comrade in arms, and it's inevitable that you'll end up working together. She told me not to be petty and to take care of my image because you're a soldier. Lin Qian repeated Han Xiao's words from the previous night in front of everyone. Since this is the right time, I'd like to respond to Miss Han. Firstly, you're too nosy. Even if you're a biological sister, you don't have the right to gossip about your brother's girlfriend behind his back, much less his godsister. Secondly, I do mind your existence because no woman can tolerate having such a scheming woman by their boyfriend's side. It's too dangerous. Thirdly, I admit that you soldiers are indeed amazing for protecting the country, but that is not a reason for you to look down on me. I am doing my job well in my position, which is beneficial to the progress and development of society. Why should I be inferior to you? Your arrogance makes it impossible for me to deal with you. That's why I want to make things clear. Don't think that just because you've received a few days of training, you're so great that you can see through a woman's heart. When it comes to career, I admit that you're better than me. But when it comes to relationships, I hope you can be more straightforward. I can compete with you fairly. After hearing Lin Qian's words, everyone was stunned. Who would have thought that this seemingly fragile woman was actually so strong? She didn't even give Han Xiao any face and humiliated her in front of all her comrades. Lin Qian's words were quite straightforward, but that wasn't all. She turned around and looked at Li Jin as she lectured him. If you really have a god sister or a sweetheart online friend, I don't think we're suited for each other. I'm not a woman that seeks perfection. I hate it when my man gets involved with other women, and I end up having to clean up after him. Qian, are you jealous? Li Jin did not think that she was fierce. He simply thought that she was cute when she was angry. Lin Qian glared at him without replying. Afterwards, Li Jin replied, Han Xiao and I are simply comrades. We were in the past, we are still friends, and we will always be friends. Plus, I don't have any god sisters or sweetheart online friends. I simply have a jealous girlfriend. As Han Xiao watched the loving couple, her previously flushed face turned pale white. Her eyes were filled with anger and embarrassment. She never expected Lin Qian to be so straightforward. Major General, I don't think it's necessary for the two of you to hurt the people around you when you're in a relationship. Even if Han Xiao has done something unkind, you should still consider Han Xiao's pride. After all, she's been by your side for so many years. Even if it's not love and we're simply comrades, there's no need to be so ruthless. Han Xiao, let me take you home. One of the comrades refuted as he helped Han Xiao turn around. But Lin Qian was not convinced. So she once again held the man back. Since you've admitted that she's done something unkind, what makes you think that she's the only one that's been hurt? The man turned around and glared at Lin Qian. It seemed he had a terrible impression of her. But at this time Li Jin said, I'm not asking you to leave. The two men stood there in a stalemate, not daring to take another step forward. I called you here today to see Qian. Let me make it clear first. Qian is my girlfriend. You can dislike her and disrespect her, but don't let me see you bully her like you did to Han Xiao last night. If you do, I will risk my life. I don't want another woman to go behind my back and try to flirt with Qian again. I can't stand such filth. So, if something like this happens again, don't blame me for being ruthless. After speaking, Li Jin subconsciously glanced at Han Xiao. Han Xiao endured the pain in her heart and walked away. She had never been humiliated like this before. She had come to the military base for Li Jin's sake. Yet this man was so heartless because of another woman. She thought that even if Lin Qian revealed the truth, he would still speak up for her. But he didn't at the same time. She thought that Lin Qian was simple, but Lin Qian wasn't as easy to deal with as she thought. Chapter 904. After Han Xiao left, Lin Qian turned around and asked Li Jin, Is there anything else? I still need to go to work. Li Jin could tell that Lin Qian was still angry, so he turned around and let her out. I'll walk you out. No need. Lin Qian's voice was cold. She refused to believe that Li Jin didn't know what Han Xiao was thinking, but he still insisted on keeping her by his side. What was the meaning of this? Li Jin could tell that Lin Qian still had her own thoughts, so he wrapped his arm around her shoulder and let her out. Seeing this, the other comrades couldn't help but feel a little conflicted. Actually, sister-in-law can't be blamed for being angry. Han Zhao's actions were a little unreasonable. Relationships can't be forced. Over the years, the Major General has been aware of Han Zhao's feelings for you, but he's still kept his distance from her. This proves that he doesn't like her. Seeing how nervous the Major General is, he must have fallen for her. Lin Qian didn't care what the others were saying. She simply wanted to break free from Li Jin's grip. Qian, let go of me. I've always kept my distance from Han Xiao. I've never crossed the line and I've never given her any hope, Li Jin explained. At the military base, I've always been a soldier. There's no way I would talk about relationships in a place like this. The only person I like is you, no one else. What happened last night won't happen again. I promise. After hearing this, Lin Qian turned around and looked at Li Jin. You've already stood me up a few times. What guarantee do you have? When it comes to work in the country, I'm a soldier and I have no choice but to obey orders. But when it comes to personal relationships, I will never break my promise to you, Li Jin said patiently. I know that you don't feel safe, so I've already asked the higher-ups to allow you to join the army as long as we get married. Who wants to join the army? I also have my own things to do. When Lin Qian said this, it was obvious that her anger had been reduced by half. Let's go, I'll take you back to work. Actually, the reason why Li Jin asked Han Xiao to come was because he wanted to explain everything to her. This clearly showed how open Li Jin was when it came to relationships. But Lin Qian simply couldn't stand the fact that Han Xiao still had to work by his side. Just as Han Xiao said she minded. She actually minded it so much. As if he could read Lin Qian's mind, after boarding the car, Li Jin grabbed Lin Qian's chin and kissed her. Be more confident, okay? I hope that every time you see Han Xiao, you can act like this. Because it proves that you care about me. Lin Qian rolled her eyes. Just as she was about to refute, a soldier ran over and stopped his car. Major General Li, the political commissar wants to see you. It's urgent. You can go back. I can leave on my own. Seeing how busy he was, Lin Qian knew it wasn't easy for him to take half a day off. Li Jin did not say a word. He simply pulled out a folded piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to Lin Qian. But before she opened it, he said, I'll get someone to give it to you. Afterwards, Lin Qian picked up a piece of paper and realized it was a marriage application. Because the partners of soldiers had to go through a vetting process, under normal circumstances, they would need to submit an application and investigate the woman's family background. Usually it would take a month. Although Li Jin had submitted an application, Lin Qian understood what he meant. As long as she wanted to get married, she could do it at any time, and he was already prepared. Lin Qian put away the application and placed it in her handbag. Even though, at that moment, she really wanted a family. After returning from the military base, Lin Qian immediately headed over to the set of 8 p.m. to look for Xia Hanmo. But with Zhou Qing's help, Xia Hanmo had improved at lightning speed. She even had her own way of dealing with the outside world. After arriving at the set, Lin Qian stood quietly to one side and watched Xia Hanmo and Zhou Qing interact. Because of Han Zhao's words, Lin Qian was tormented. Although she was part of the entertainment industry, it didn't mean that her existence was worthless. So, when faced with the successful Xia Hanmo, Lin Qian had a new idea. She needed to be more serious so that Xia Hanmo wouldn't have to worry about anything. Soon, it was time for the Fei Tian Awards again. As one of the most mainstream awards in the country, even though Tang Ning no longer cared about her identity as an actress, Mo Ting still asked Fang Yu to arrange for Tang Ning's application. This time, she was to participate in Survivor. Mo Ting's reasoning was simple. Even if Tang Ning didn't care about it, he didn't want anyone else to take what belonged to her. In the industry, there were newcomers debuting every day and many artists falling from grace. Newcomers started to gain popularity and old artists were forgotten. But Mo Ting didn't want Tang Ning to become a thing of the past. He wanted her to be eternal. Even though the Ant Queen's filming schedule was extremely tight, Mo Ting always placed Tang Ning's matters at the top of his list. However, Kate, who had her eyes on him, did not relax for even a moment. Instead, she carefully studied Mo Ting's preferences. So, on the surface, her calmness was only on the surface. In reality, she was completely captivated by this Asian man. His superb acting skills and his charisma during filming were all things that she was infatuated with. Her manager reminded her that Asian men prioritize their family, and told her not to create trouble for herself. Otherwise, she would end up burning herself. But Kate clung on to her last sliver of hope. She hoped that the bed scenes would arrive soon. She refused to believe that a man could ignore her perfect body. In terms of body, Tongning used to be a model, and almost made it onto the Victoria's Secret stage. It's enough for President Mo to look at Tongning. He doesn't need to be obsessed with your body. The manager had always felt that Kate was hard to control. But, in the past, she had always been playful and restrained herself. But this time she was serious. During the bed scenes, I will deliberately let Mo Ting come into contact with my real body. It will definitely be exciting. Her manager felt that she was going crazy. After all, her manager was thinking for the sake of the bigger picture. She didn't want to offend Mo Ting because of Kate and cross his bottom line. You won't get the chance, the manager told Kate. Afterwards, the manager gave the agency a phone call behind Kate's back. She felt that Kate was currently doing something dangerous and disregarding the agency's interests. When it came to work, the manager was indeed a bit harsh. But she wasn't ruthless enough to allow her artist to destroy someone else's family. She felt that it was necessary for her to ask the director to remove this scene. But Xiao Sun replied, "It's okay. When the time comes, I will use a body double." In reality, Xiao Sun had already tolerated Kate enough. In fact, he felt that he had already used all of his strength on Kate. Chapter 905. Kate's manager was already aware of the danger, but Kate did not. Because as soon as Kate's manager entered Xiao Sen's office, she noticed a pile of information on Xiao Sen's desk. It was obvious that Xiao Sun had already looked through every single one of them. This meant that he was seriously considering replacing Kate. The manager wanted to calm Xiao Sun down, but she had to ensure that Kate wouldn't act recklessly again. Because of this, Xiao Sun's manager even gave Xiao Sun a luxury watch. But Xiao Sun did not even open it and simply handed it back to his manager. Of course, Xiao Sun also gave Tongning a phone call. But after looking through the list of actresses, they still couldn't find a suitable candidate. Let's give Kate another chance. After all, she's already filmed so much. It's a shame to give up now. I should have listened to you and not looked for a foreign actress. She's reaped what she sowed. Tongning did not respond to Xiao's senator to be exact. Her attention was drawn to the children's variety show that Mo Zichin was watching on TV. The little rascal held onto the remote control with a serious expression as he watched the television without moving an inch. He obviously couldn't even run. Afterwards, Tongning hung up Xiao Sen's phone call and turned her attention to the television. Between the two brothers, the older brother Mo Zichi liked to sleep and was very active. Meanwhile, the younger brother Mo Zichin was very old-fashioned. No matter what he did, he acted like an adult and was very interesting to watch. As a result, Zichi appeared more like a child while Zichin appeared more mature. Tongning was certain that the little rascal's IQ was higher than hers and Mo Ting's. Meanwhile, at the entrance of a television station, it was still raining as Xia Hanmo and Lin Qian stepped out of the studio. So, as Lin Qian headed to get her car, Zhou Qing also stepped out from behind. "Hanmo. Zhou Ge." Xia Hanmo looked at Zhou Qing suspiciously. "I know you have a good relationship with Lin Qian, but there are some things that I'm not sure if I should tell you. It's just a suggestion. I don't have any ill intentions." Xia Hanmo was a little surprised, but she still replied politely, "Go ahead. I fully acknowledge Lin Qian's abilities and she treats you well. However, I feel that her background is a little complicated. After all, her boyfriend is in the military. I feel that after she gets married, she may place her focus on her family. So, you need to be prepared and see if you can find a suitable assistant and manager. Although I'm sure Tongning will make arrangements, the most important thing is to take care of your needs." After hearing this, Xia Hanmo nodded her head. "Thank you for the reminder, Zhou Ge. But I don't think I need it for now." "Okay, I just want you to know what's going to happen," Zhou Qing smiled. Soon, Lin Qian returned to Xia Hanmo's side in her car. At the same time, Zhou Qing's assistant also returned with his car. The two returned home separately. However, Xia Hanmo had a feeling that although Zhou Qing was doing this for her own good, she couldn't accept Lin Qian leaving like this. So on the way back, she couldn't help but ask Lin Qian, "When are you getting married?" "I haven't considered it yet," Lin Qian replied. Xia Hanmo secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At least it wasn't now. As for the situation that Zhou Qing mentioned, he would have to wait until that day came. Kate wanted Mo Ting, so she tried everything she could to have physical contact with him. Everyone on set could probably tell that she had feelings for Mo Ting. But the only thing that comforted the crew was the fact that Mo Ting never looked at Kate in the eye. So the staff that were infatuated with the couple felt a lot more at ease. This Kate is way too open. She doesn't give up on any opportunity. President Mo is Tongning's. I simply hope that she can restrain herself a little. I honestly don't have a good impression of foreign actors. Although their acting is good, their relationships are a bit messy. Just wait and see. Kate is going to make a fool of herself. As the staff discussed Kate, Kate's manager naturally heard about it. Her days on set were already getting harder and harder, but Kate still didn't know how to restrain herself. Afterwards, Kate asked one of the staff to fetch her a glass of water. But as soon as the staff handed it to her, she simply took a sip and poured the water away. It was too hot. "What are you doing? Are you trying to burn me to death?" The small stage supervisor felt wronged. After all, it wasn't part of her job to take care of this actress. But in order not to offend her, she went to fetch another glass of water. But this time, Kate complained that the staff didn't add any sugar. The small stage supervisor couldn't take it anymore, so she lowered her head and complained. But this time, Kate happened to overhear it. Although she couldn't understand the language, she could tell that the woman was complaining. So she asked her manager, "What did he mean by that?" "He said that you're not as good as Tongning," the manager replied. "If Tongning was really that good, why didn't your production hire her? How could you continue to support a bitch?" The manager couldn't understand English, so she felt even more wronged. Seeing this, Kate burst into laughter and poured the warm water over the stage supervisor's head. "Tongning is a bitch." A bitch. Seeing that no one was around, the manager decided to let Kate be so proud. But she never expected that Mo Ting would eventually find out about this. After the small stage supervisor felt wronged, she went to complain to Chiao's senator. Although her English wasn't good, she remembered the last thing Kate said, so she kept repeating it over and over again. After hearing this, Chiao Sen's face turned red. But the scariest thing was, Mo Ting was right behind them. President Mo. Mo Ting did not say a word. He simply looked at Kate and walked over. Chiao Sun and the stage supervisor followed behind Mo Ting. The two of them were prepared to face the storm. However, Kate was overwhelmed by Mo Ting's favor. When had Mo Ting ever approached her? So she immediately stood up from her chair and welcomed him with a smile. But Mo Ting simply said, "Go back to France immediately. Don't let me see you again." Kate's expression immediately turned cold. She didn't understand Mo Ting's request. Why? Get lost. However, Mo Ting was extremely cold as he turned to Kate's manager and said, "If you're smart enough, you will tell your agency to give up on Kate. Otherwise, I will make your agency look bad." The manager did not move. To be exact, after hearing Mo Ting's warning, she didn't know how to react. Mo Ting was truly angered. This was something that the manager was certain of. So she had no choice but to listen to Mo Ting. After all, compared to Kate, no one was willing to offend Hai Rui. Chapter 906. Actually, she had a feeling that things would turn out this way. She thought she would be able to hold on until the film was completed. But Kate was obviously too difficult to control. She had no self-awareness at all. It seemed it was time to throw away Kate. How dare Kate scold Tongning? What would happen if Mo Ting heard this? "No, I need to continue filming. You guys invited me here. You have no right to make me leave." However, Mo Ting simply left the set without looking back. "I will send you a contract cancellation letter after this." Chiao Sun could only say this. He knew that Mo Ting had been holding back, but Kate had only been flirting with his body and did not do anything too extreme. But now that she was stupid enough to scold Tongning, she was obviously digging her own grave. President Mo was the type of person that could endure anything. He could be cruel to himself, but he couldn't tolerate Tongning being wronged in the slightest, especially those that had insulted Tongning and been caught red-handed by him. Kate continued to cry and ask Xiaosun what was going on, but her manager ignored her. As she packed her things, she gave her agency a phone call and told them that Kate had messed up the film and was being asked for a refund. Is this how you bully foreign actors? I'm going to sue you. Sue them, sue them. As long as she could win. Did she really think that President Mo was easy to deal with? Kate continued to test Mo Ting's bottom line. She thought that Mo Ting could tolerate her. But that was before she insulted Tongning verbally. Director, the actress has been rejected. Should we continue filming? In the distance, Xiaosun sighed. Of course not. Let's wait for further notice. Afterwards, as Kate watched everyone pack their things and prepare to leave, she decided to chase after her manager. But her manager directly boarded her car and did not open the door for her. Kate, I've endured you for so many years. I'm finally free. You can book your own plane ticket back to France, her manager said before she left. Bitch, come back here. Kate chased after her, but her manager refused to look back. Afterwards, Xiaosun explained the situation to Tongning over the phone. Kate insulted you and President Mo heard her. That's what happened. I understand, Tongning replied. Although Kate doesn't have many scenes, replacing her would mean starting all over again. The problem is that we don't have a suitable candidate right now. Xiaosun's biggest headache was not having a suitable actor. At this time, Tongning's lips curved upwards as she asked Xiaosun, since we're looking for a new actor, why don't we make some changes to the script as well? What do you mean? Xiaosun asked. I have a new idea. It was impossible for Tongning to act on her own. After all, she was pregnant. So it wasn't appropriate to hire another actress. But that didn't mean the matter was stuck in a stalemate forever. So, Tongning had a new suggestion. However, just as they were discussing how to deal with this matter, Kate went to the embassy and made a big deal out of it. However, it was obvious that the French embassy would not accept it. Kate was being unreasonable. But news of the matter still leaked out. Although people in the industry had already looked down on Tongning and Xiaosun once, they never expected that they were actually filming a sci-fi film. But now that the actress had stepped out to cause a scene, how could Tongning's sci-fi dream continue? As a result, more and more people gathered to watch the commotion. Is Tongning under the spell of being an actress and going into such an unrealistic dream? Although I've always supported Tongning, domestic sci-fi films are so bad. Do you really think there's a way for them to make a comeback? Just wait and see. When the time comes, we'll see another domestically produced sci-fi film that uses a Hollywood cast. I really hope that Tongning doesn't go down the wrong path. In the eyes of others, Tongning was going down the wrong path. With the addition of Kate's incident, practically no one had high hopes for Tongning to film a sci-fi film. They all thought she was crazy. But if Tongning cared about what others said, she wouldn't have jumped into the film and risked her life in the first place. So while everyone was expressing their pessimism towards Tongning and Xiaosun finally met. Hai Rui will handle Kate's matter well. So, I'm going to tell you my idea. I think the Ant Queen can be changed, Tongning said as she handed Xiaosun a blueprint. Recent sci-fi films can completely abandon the old formula of having a hero with a beautiful woman. It doesn't necessarily have to have a woman. Xiaosun didn't fully understand what Tongning meant. Are you saying? We don't have to have a woman, but we do have to have a girl. If we go down the path of a father and daughter, it will appear more profound. Plus, there have been many successful examples overseas. Plus, this is a sci-fi film. If we add a helpless little girl, it will stimulate the audience's desire to protect her and increase their sense of danger. So, I don't think that a girl will lose to a woman. Most importantly, I've already found a candidate, Tongning said as she placed the information in front of Qiao Sr. This girl's name is Coco Lee. Because her father is Canadian, she has a bit of mixed blood. She's 7 years old this year, but that's not the main point. The main point is, this little rascal is a complete drama queen. All of a sudden, Xiaosun had no idea what Tongning was talking about. But as a business partner, Tongning's idea was undoubtedly the best choice they could make. So Qiao Sun was extremely excited. After quite some time he finally asked, "So, how did you come up with such an ingenious plan?" Speaking of which, Tongning couldn't help but thank her rascal Zichen. A 1-year-old child actually helped his mother solve such a big problem while watching television. This is killing multiple birds with one stone. Most importantly, with a girl as the main lead. I won't have to worry about President Mo anymore. Qiao Sun was still a little cautious around Mo Ting. By the way, have you spoken to President Mo about this? Tongning nodded her head. On the night that she discovered this woman, she had already mentioned it to Mo Ting. As a pregnant woman, did you think I would be able to do so many things? Do you think I can do so many things? Even if I wanted to do it, it would have taken me a few days. Yet Mo Ting did it all in one night. Mo Ting's strength wasn't just because he was talented, but also because of his ability to strategize. There were some things that he didn't need to do himself. As long as he made the right arrangements, he would be able to achieve miraculous results. So President Mo purposely used Kate as an excuse to kick her out? It seemed Mo Ting was really angry about this. Chapter 907. The little girl, Coco, was indeed a little drama queen. From a young age, she had already made money by going on TV shows to help her father earn money. But there was a huge difference when compared to acting in a film. In reality, although Coco was born into a mixed-race family, she only had her father. Because her father was weak and useless, her mother gave up on them a long time ago and married a rich businessman to be his second wife. So Coco was very sensible. After her father discovered her talent in acting, she decided to help him lighten his burden. As a result, she was quite famous in the child entertainment industry. Tongning was, after all, a mother. Seeing a sensible child like her, she naturally felt pity for her. So as soon as she saw the father and daughter, Tongning instinctively patted Coco on the head. She would never forget the first time she saw Coco. Her eyes were especially big, clear and filled with an unyielding stubbornness. Although I'm thankful that Miss Tang has given Coco this opportunity, after looking at the outline of the film, I'm afraid Coco won't be able to handle something like this, Father Li said as he patted his daughter on the head. Mr. Li stroked his daughter's head and said in a regretful tone, "I'm her father. I don't have her mother anymore. I can't lose her too, so I have to protect my daughter." "Coco, what about you? Do you want to give it a try?" Tongning asked as she lowered her head. She had long, black hair that gave her a sense of spirituality. After thinking for a moment, she turned her head and said to Father Li, "Daddy, I still want to give it a try." "But what if you're afraid?" "Daddy, you're too stupid. No matter what we film, there will always be a lot of people on set. As long as there are people around, I won't be afraid," Coco replied firmly. "Plus, I trust that Auntie will protect me." Father Li knew that Coco wasn't afraid. She simply wanted to lighten his burden. He was too honest. Previously, when he was doing business, he was scammed by a friend and ended up with a huge debt. "Okay. Don't worry, I will protect her well," Tongning said as she handed the contract to Father Li. "You can get a lawyer to analyze it." After all, Father Li had already looked through a lot of contracts for Coco. He could tell that she was doing her best to take care of them. "No need, I'll sign it." Tongning really liked Coco Li because she was really lovable. So before Father Li left with Coco, she said sincerely, "Mr. Li, there are a few things I want to tell you." "Miss Tang, please go ahead." Kiki is now 7 years old. In the future, more and more people will pay attention to her. So, you must learn to be strong. Otherwise, you won't be able to protect Kiki. I'm sorry, we will understand your basic situation. We know that you are in debt, and you were not responsible for this at all. Why did you take a step back? To be honest, it's because I'm not that cunning. As long as someone uses Coco to threaten me, there's nothing I can do. Because of this, Kiki hopes to become stronger so that she can protect her father. She then turned to look at Coco. "If you have money, what do you want to do?" "Help Dad hire a bodyguard so that no one can hurt him. Then help Dad hire a lawyer to teach those who bullied Dad a lesson. Look, even Coco knows what to do. Of course, this is only on the surface. Most importantly, you need to become stronger on the inside. Father Li thought for a moment, and seemed to understand something. After thanking Tongning, he left with Coco Li. Tongning watched as the father and daughter left, and suddenly felt her heart ache. That night, after returning home, Tongning told Mo Ting about her encounter with Coco. After hearing this, Mo Ting furrowed his brows. Are you worried about the father and daughter? As soon as Tongning heard this, she knew he was thinking about something else. So she immediately punched him on the chest. What are you thinking about? This is an instinctive desire to protect the weak. Mo Ting wrapped his arm around Tongning and helped her sit more securely on him. He had always known that even though his wife was hurt by Han Yufan, she was still cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Especially after becoming a mother, she became more sensitive to emotional matters. You will definitely like this girl. Mo Ting did not say a word as he focused on his work and let Tongning sleep in his arms. 3 days later, Xiao Xin arranged for Coco to go for an audition. Although Coco's performance wasn't satisfactory, President Mo simply said, "She's worth training." Just like that, Coco was confirmed to be the female lead of the Ant Queen. To be exact, she was a mini version of the female lead. Afterwards, President Mo sat to one side reading through his script. Under normal circumstances, President Mo didn't like to be disturbed. But as soon as Coco saw him, she walked over to him and asked, "Uncle, can I sit down?" Mo Ting lifted his head and looked at her without saying a word. It was a silent agreement. Coco sat not too far away from Mo Ting with both hands on the chair. Every now and then, her eyes would glance at the script in Mo Ting's hands. I've heard from a lot of older brothers that Uncle is good at acting. Can you teach me? Mo Ting shifted the script slightly to the left so she could see it. In reality, he still needed experience with little girls. After all, his daughter was about to be born soon. As the crew saw this, they were quite surprised. Not many people were brave enough to approach Mo Ting. But Coco did not seem afraid. One of the crew members snapped a photo with his phone. The contrast was so cute. Oh God, he almost fell out of his skin. Tongning has good taste. Afterwards, someone asked Coco, "Don't you think that uncle is scary?" Coco shook her head. "I don't think so. I didn't do anything wrong and I'm sure he wouldn't do anything to me. It doesn't make sense, does it?" This little vixen was quite likable. Many people on set suddenly felt like they couldn't compare to a 7-year-old little girl. Back to the film, the main storyline of the Ant Queen changed from a man and a woman to a father and daughter. This was actually easier to develop because it was a bond that existed in the first place. It allowed the film to jump straight into the main storyline without having to arrange any awkward encounters. In the end, the film changed to a father entering an unknown place to save his kidnapped daughter. During his battle of wits with the kidnappers, someone ended up alerting an unknown giant creature, termites. The first scene of the film was about the daughter being kidnapped. Li Lele didn't know how to act, so she ended up falling and breaking her skin in the first scene. Chapter 908. Coco did not cry, even though tears were already welling up in her eyes. "Grandfather Qiao, it doesn't hurt. Let's try again." "Io, Grandfather Qiao can't bear to see you like this." Qiaosun hugged Coco. Everyone turned to look at Mo Ting. But it seemed, Mo Ting was waiting for a rescue. Soon Tongning arrived on set. As soon as she saw Coco hurt, she comforted her and smiled. "I'll teach you." Tongning could already imagine how much Mo Ting would dote on her after her daughter was born. He was a clumsy father that couldn't do anything about his daughter. So even though Tongning couldn't personally act, she was more than capable of giving a demonstration. Plus, Coco's risk was already low to begin with. All the fighting scenes were handled by Mo Ting, so there was practically no danger when Tongning demonstrated. They look like a family of 3. Yes, Tongning's future daughter will definitely be as beautiful as this. Someone posted a photo of Mo Ting and Coco sitting on a chair online. Originally, she simply sighed in the industry, but she never expected it to go viral. After all, The contrast between Mo Ting and Coco was so cute that it made people feel like they were in love. WTF, what kind of photo is this? When did Mo Ting take this? Who is this little girl? She looks so cute. They look like a loving father and daughter. The contrast is so cute, it's so cute. I wonder when this photo was taken. Isn't this little girl the little child star Coco? Why is she taking a photo with President Mo? It didn't take long before someone came forward and deduced from Kate's incident. This could be a still from the sci-fi film that Tongning is working on. Didn't Kate mention that President Mo is the lead actor? When I first heard that it was a sci-fi film, I didn't really care. But now that I see this photo, I'm a little excited. I love contrast. President Mo is like a cool father. In reality, the leak of this photo did not affect the production of The Ant Queen at all. After all, the public were only speculating and it wasn't a real still. However, this photo attracted one person's attention. That was Coco's birth mother. This woman that married a rich businessman wasn't easy to deal with. After her husband passed away, she did not receive any inheritance because the rich businessman left all of his assets to his children. As for Coco's mother, she only had one house. Previously, when she saw how much debt Father Lee owed, there was no way she would look for the father and daughter. But now that Coco and Mo Ting were friends, she decided it was time to fight Father Lee for custody of Coco. After all, Coco's appearance fee was bound to be quite impressive. Plus, Coco's father was a cowardly man. As long as Coco wanted him, the man would not dare to compete with her. In order to create an image of a good mother, Mrs. Lee called Mr. Lee. "Somehow, I miss my daughter. I want to see her." Lee Du's father was surprised that the woman he hadn't seen in 5 years was thinking about his daughter. So he hung up without hesitation. However, this woman actually came to his house. "Seriously, it's been so many years. Why didn't you move to a new house?" The woman complained as soon as she stepped into the house. She had lived here for many years in the past. Who would have thought this man was still living here? Could it be that he had squandered all of Coco's appearance fees? "What do you want? Do I need a reason to see my daughter?" the woman said as she spread open her delicate arms. "Coco isn't home. Come back another day. Father Lee chased her away. I want to know, isn't Coco filming right now? Plus, I heard that Coco has a close relationship with the richest man in the entertainment industry." "That's not true," Father Lee said before he pushed the woman out the door. He knew that this woman was doing this because she was greedy. So he immediately gave Tongning a phone call. "Miss Tang, Coco's mother has come looking for me. She wants to see my daughter. I don't think she has pure intentions. What should I do?" After hearing this, Tongning felt that this woman acted quickly. Did she come looking for him just like that? "Firstly, the two of you will need to move temporarily. I will arrange for you to stay in a hotel near the film base." "But she is Coco's mother. I have no reason to stop her from seeing the child. Even if it's legal, it won't work," Father Lee said anxiously. "I've always been on guard because I was afraid that this woman would steal Coco from me. If she truly wanted to be a good mother, I wouldn't mind. But she's definitely not a good mother." "Mr. Lee, don't worry. We can discuss it tomorrow." With Tongning's help, Father Lee felt a lot more at ease. But the woman continued to knock on the door. "Lee Sinhao, if you don't let me see Coco, I will arrange for a lawyer to sue you. You must know that your finances are unstable at the moment. Under these circumstances, the judge will normally give the daughter to the mother." This was exactly what Father Lee was worried about. Of course, since Tongning had found Coco, she was prepared to help her deal with her family matters. She wasn't going to let anyone ruin such a good seedling. Plus, she was disgusted by people that only gave birth and didn't raise. "So, leave these disgusting matters to me. Coco will be taught by you for the time being." "I'm a little slow," Mo Ting replied straightforwardly. After hearing this, Tongning couldn't help but laugh. "So you're aware that you have no ability to deal with little girls. If our daughter is born in the future, how much will you spoil her? President Mo, you're so busy every day, yet you can't deal with little girls." "I can hold and teach my own daughter. Just treat Kiki like your own daughter, isn't that enough?" After speaking, Tongning smiled as she walked away from Emoting. However, she couldn't help but sigh. It was so difficult to produce a good film. In the past, she had always heard about how many restarts other people had to go through. But now that it was her turn, she finally realized how difficult it was to be a producer. But even if it wasn't for her own film, if someone was in a similar situation as Coco, she would definitely do her best to help them out. As for the person in question, she was here to deal with them. Of course, fatherly was an important part of the process and couldn't be left out. So Tongning decided to meet with fatherly. However, as soon as they met, fatherly sighed. I have a feeling that Coco will be snatched away. Chapter 909. With me around, she won't be able to steal it, Tongning said confidently. Firstly, you've already paid off all your debts and you have a 6-figure balance in your bank account. Your finances aren't a problem. Secondly, she has a history of abandoning Coco. Thirdly, she's currently in financial trouble. After hearing Tongning's words, fatherly calmed down a little. Every time he thought about Coco leaving him, he felt like he had nothing left to live for. Tongning looked at fatherly. This man was too kind. To be exact, he was too weak. That's why he couldn't protect the most important person in his life. After all, taking a step back in life wasn't going to lead to a bright future. In reality, Tongning had a more detailed plan in mind. But seeing fatherly's reaction, she knew he couldn't do anything else. So she decided to hold back and let Longjia handle it. However, a broken family and a grudge with their parents could affect a child's mental health. She could only hope that Coco was as strong as she was now. In that case, should I take Coco to see her? Why not? There's nothing you can do to stop your mother from seeing her. You just need to bring more people with you when the time comes, Tongning replied. Okay, I understand. Fatherly nodded at Tongning. At this moment, Coco was still on set filming. As an inexperienced small-time actress, she was extremely hardworking and had a strong willpower. Many of the adults on set felt inferior to her. When Tongning wasn't around, Coco's favorite thing to do was to follow Emoting. She read Emoting's scripts and acted as his tail. Her gaze rarely left Emoting. This was because Emoting gave her a sense of security. It was normal for Coco to crave for Emoting's protection. After all, she had found one of the biggest bosses in the entertainment industry. But Emoting actually allowed Coco to follow him around. So the staff on set were surprised and curious. Coco, bend down a little more. That's right. Seeing Xiao Sen's strict request for Coco, Emoting couldn't help but remind, be more appropriate. Xiao Sen smiled. Don't worry, this child is born with a special constitution and is suitable for the entertainment industry. It's fine if Tongning cares. After all, she's always cold on the outside but warm on the inside. But President Mo, he's training his daughter-in-law. Xiao Sen's eyes widened in shock. Was this real? However, weren't the two Mo brothers only a little over a year old? How could they find a daughter-in-law so quickly? Moreover, she was older by more than 5 years. Of course, Emoting was just joking, but Xiao Sen took it seriously. Uncle, last night, I heard from my father that the woman wanted to take me back. As long as you don't want to, no one can force you to do something you don't like, Emoting replied. 2 days later, in the entertainment circle, there was a piece of gossip. A certain station's young master had his left hand chopped off. It was said that he had played around with someone else's girlfriend. He deserved it. That night, Xia Hanmo was recording a show. Lin Qian went to the parking lot to get her coat, but she heard someone talking on the phone in the parking lot. You still want to find trouble with me? Now everyone in the country knows that I was the one who made that program popular. He merely took advantage of it. Did he think that I wasn't retaliating because I was afraid? You've done a great job. I'm only missing a hand. It's not enough to repay the hatred in my heart. Hearing this last sentence, Lin Qian froze. The voice was too familiar. So familiar that she couldn't accept it. Afraid that the man would discover her, Lin Qian quickly retraced her steps. However, the man on the phone obviously noticed Lin Qian's back as she left, but he wasn't sure. Afterwards, Lin Qian returned to Xia Hanmo's side and removed her black coat. At this time, Zhou Qing also entered the studio. When he saw Lin Qian, he did not suspect anything. This was because Lin Qian was currently wearing a white shirt. Qian, where's my coat? Didn't you go to the parking lot to get it? As soon as Zhou Qing heard Xia Hanmo's question, his expression changed. But Lin Qian did not panic as she replied, I didn't go. I went to the makeup artist to help you get your earrings. Zhou Qing finally let go of his guard and returned to the front of the camera. They were going to film a new promotional video. Lin Qian remained calm. After everyone returned to work, she quietly left the backstage and gave Tongning a phone call. It turned out, there were people in this world that were so good at disguising themselves. This completely shattered Lin Qian's understanding of Zhou Qing. It turned out, a person with a high EQ and a gentle temperament could even fool herself. Afraid that Xia Hanmo wouldn't accept it, Lin Qian did not immediately tell her. Instead, she told Tongning first. After hearing from Lin Qian, Tongning said to Lin Qian, Don't let anyone know about this. If Zhou Qing is really that kind of person, we need to come up with a detailed plan. Especially for Xia Hanmo. We need to make sure that she can retreat safely. Okay. Lin Qian calmed herself down a little, but she was still worried about her safety. So she gave Li Jin a phone call. Afterwards, Lin Qian returned to the studio. But at this time, Zhou Qing's gaze drifted over. Lin Qian couldn't avoid it, so she looked at him. Why didn't she realize that this man was so good at disguising himself? After filming was over, Lin Qian went to the car park to get her car. At this time, Zhou Qing approached Xia Hanmo and said, Hanmo, Lin Qian lied to you. She went to the car park a moment ago and may have overheard my phone call with a friend. But why would Lin Qian lie? I think she might have misunderstood me. The station manager's son has been causing trouble for me, so my friend wanted to stand up for me. She must have thought that I was going to deal with the station manager's son. Since it's a misunderstanding, all you need to do is explain yourself. Xia Hanmo did not seem to mind. After all, it was normal to hear the wrong person on the phone. If Lin Qian really misunderstood, you need to explain yourself to her. Don't worry, Zhouge. Xia Hanmo had no idea that this was a trap. So after they boarded the car, she said to Lin Qian, Qian, Zhouge said he saw you go to the car park. Did you go there? Lin Qian did not say a word. She had a feeling that Zhou Qing must have told Xia Hanmo about it. But only the two of them knew exactly what he said. For the sake of her own safety, Lin Qian shook her head. I really didn't go to the car park. I went to the waiting room. Zhouge must have made a mistake. You really didn't? Yes, Lin Qian nodded. Okay then. From this moment onwards, Xia Hanmo simply felt that Lin Qian and Zhou Qing were acting strangely. After all, if Lin Qian suspected Zhou Qing, she wouldn't have any evidence and would end up exposing herself. Worst of all, Xia Hanmo would also start to lose trust in her. Afterwards, Li Jin drove Lin Qian home. After listening to Lin Qian's description of what happened, he patted her on the head encouragingly. You did well. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.